That's a lot of bowl.
Bull work? Bull in a china shop? Bowls? What are you talking about?
Ooh, thankfully you didn't say a word we can't say. Welcome everyone to another beloved, wonderful episode of the Cheap Seat Critics podcast, made for you by us. With me today we have.
Hello, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, Yukiki Ryder. Don't worry, Springs, I got
I'm
you.
I'm Crimson Ran.
And I'm Sprinks. And hey, if you're listening from the Valley of Peace yet again, wink wink, you can follow us on TikTok, X, Twitter, whatever it's called nowadays with you hip kids, Facebook, Instagram. We have a letterbox where we average out our numbers and stuff. I know it's an audio podcast, but we've got visual side of things on YouTube and Rumble if you're watching from there. We got audio things if you prefer that while doing stuff. I think that's
Blue
it.
Sky.
Oh, Blue Sky! I forgot. That's the newest one. Blue Sky or Blue Ski or whatever. Again, what people call it. Yeah, we got that too.
Blueski? That's pretty good, actually.
Anyway, today we're covering Kung Fu Panda 4. Man, you see this one coming? Surprise. Let's start. We're going to do a 3-act structure just to keep you up, where in the structures will be popcorn style. But before then, we got some facts. We got some history. Let's start with history, and let's start with Crimson.
Alrighty. So, copy paste my history of the Kung Fu Panda franchise from our previous coverages. You should check that out.
What if they didn't care about the other three? They want to know about this one.
My history with this particular one. First time I've seen it was for the podcast. What I knew going into it, spoiler alert, was shapeshifting villain. Aquafina was in it. And I think that was the gist. And I saw the trailer, obviously. So there you go.
My trailer really sold you on the film, right?
Oh, yeah, I saw it in the theaters. That's a lie. I just said I saw it once for the podcast.
Sneaky. All right. Ryder.
All right. So once I finished the third film, I honestly never expected to see a fourth one or a fourth one to even come out. So when I heard that, I didn't even know they were going to make it. I just saw the trailer for it one day and went, huh, that's weird. And I just never went around to watch it because the third one kind of didn't really raise my interest in seeing this one. So this is my first and only time seeing it so far. And probably will continue to be. Spoilers.
Ooh. Nice little tease. Lastly, me, this is my first time watching this film for the podcast. Adding another film to my 2024 list. Kind of crazy that this came out last year, this year of recording. Timey-wimey stuff. Anyway, I saw press material or red carpet stuff for this, and then there was a music video-esque thing of Jack Black to Britney Spears' Baby Hit Me One More Time, which I was incorporated in the movie somehow. And that's kind of all I really knew. I guess I knew after the movie came out that Aquafina was in it. I don't remember seeing a trailer for this movie, but that's about it.
I do have actually the other piece of market material that I saw that didn't have anything to do with the trailer. I think it was just Jack Black walking a bunch in front of a Poe cosplayers, like they were all marching in a line or whatever. That's pretty much the only
That may have been the red carpet stuff.
Yeah, and maybe that was red carpet stuff. Yeah.
Anywho, we got a couple fun facts for you. Take these with a grain of salt. Found them on the internet. Who knows how true or false they may be. First off, we have the release date, which this film came out March 8th, 2024.
Is that the potential true or false factor?
I'm leaning true, but again, could be false.
Okay.
Just want to warn you right there.
All right.
So, it has a runtime of 1 hour and 34 minutes. Its budget, which is kind of a fact on its own, additional fun fact, it's 85 million USD, making it the smallest budget for any Kung Fu Panda movie. And I have the other three as well, where the first film's budget was 130 million, the second was 150 million, and the third one was 145 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say under 100 mil was surprising for you to say that.
Yeah.
It's pretty small for a modern animated budget.
However, its box office budget got back was 547 million worldwide. So I think it made up.
Well, yes, it did.
Its rating is PG. Its genre is comedy/adventure. Excuse me. And it is directed by none other than Mike Mitchell. And you might be, who's Mike Mitchell? Well, let me tell you. He's the guy who directed Sky High, the Lego Movie 2, the second part, and Shrek Forever After.
Ooh.
Wow, we got a good one in there.
I wonder which one.
I know.
And
To
then
be
I have-
honest,
We probably all have different opinions on that too.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And then 4 fun facts here. First one, this is the first time Poe refers to himself as the Kung Fu Panda in the movie. According to the co-director, Stephanie Stein, the original plan for the film was for it to be a live-action/animation hybrid in the vein of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Space Jam, with Zhen and the Chameleon being humans. According to Stein, once the hybrid concept was scrapped, the idea to have certain characters be humans, only animated, stuck around quite a while before being scrapped entirely.
absolutely insane. What the heck? It's like
Honestly,
they don't understand the IP.
I don't know
What is
how that would work.
I don't know how it would
The
work.
past 3 movies.
Yeah, and also I think that will probably explain a lot of the like animation errors that are littered throughout the film. Because there's definitely parts of this film where the animation is very rushed.
Yeah, I can see that. 2 more I got here. Director Mike Mitchell was given complete creative control. So if that helps you with his past things he's done. And then lastly, which I know Crimson's going to love this fact, on December 3rd, 2010, then DreamWorks Animation CEO at the time, Jeffrey Katzenberg, officially confirmed that the series could see 2 more sequels after Kung Fu Panda 4, bringing it to a total of 6 film series.
Said that in 2010.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't see. If like the next one, if there's next one bombs, I doubt they'll do another one.
I think the next one, if they make a 5th one, is going to be focused on Zen or Shen or whatever, and Poe's going to be a real background character.
They're doing a okay. I think the reason that they actually might do that is because they're as you just said, they're really tight on their budgets, and they're still making a profit because it's technically speaking an unoffensive film for families to go see with their kids.
Well, they're not doing the Disney mistake of doing $300 million films.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're keeping a tight string on the budget, and they're making more than like triple their money back. So I legitimately think that they could get a 5 and 6.
And hey, if the DreamWorks live action How to Train Your Dragon is going to make a profit, who's stopping a live action Kung Fu Panda?
Yeah, let's beware. We don't know. A lot of people are kind of iffy on that How to Train Your Dragon so far. From what I can tell.
You talking about me? I'm iffy.
I mean, I've talked to several people about it, but yeah, you are one.
I know we haven't talked about it, but I am another. And mind you, I'm happy the original creators are involved. Why?
The original creators were involved in the live action Avatar TV show.
Well, they walked off. Yeah,
they did, but I don't know. Anywho, that's been the facts. Unless either of you two have any additional ones.
Did you know Jack Black sang a song in this? At least one.
I think you mean the Britney Spears "Baby Hit Me One More Time" song? Yeah. So yeah, you know what? Totally forgot.
Yeah. That was just one of my cruddy ones. So there you go.
I just wanted to look up something real quick. Okay, we're fine.
Care to share with the class, or?
Sure, I'll share with the class. I was actually looking up to see if Dustin Hoffman still voiced Shifu.
Oh, yes.
The only reason I looked that up is because he didn't sound like Shifu in this. It's been
Sound like an older guy?
yeah, it's been 12 years, but you know.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman
I think
isn't
I said
exactly a
that in the
young man.
third one, didn't I? Oh no, I said that with Uguay. That's what I said.
Ah,
Anyways.
Oogway.
We'll get to Uguay. We cover this.
Anywho, that's been the facts. We'll go into the movies now. We're starting from Act 1 of this 3-act structure, going from the beginning of the movie up to the about 30 minutes in where the tavern brawl fight ends and Poe and Zhen are on the boat to Juniper City. It's popcorn structure, can go anywhere we want. Crimson seems to be chomping at the bit. He said earlier, peek behind the curtain here, that he had a lot of questions about this film, so we'll start with him.
Okay, this manta ray, why doesn't it speak? Why is it treated as an animal when every other animal we've ever seen in this franchise is sentient and speaking?
Great question. Maybe it's just mute.
Funny enough, I had the same reaction. Like, why can they fly now? And like, they're only kung fu masters have been capable of supernatural feats. Why is the manta ray capable of flight?
Do we know the manta ray isn't a master?
I would guess not, because it's just terrorizing fishermen. If those are fishermen, I had a question because
Kai. Well, he was a general. He wasn't a master. Wait.
Yeah,
he was trained.
He was a master because he trained with Oogway. He was brothers.
Okay, General Kai was a master, but Shen was a lord, not a master, and Tai Lun never made it to a master, right?
No, Tai Lung was considered a master, but he obviously it was unofficial, if that makes sense. Shen was never a master
level.
He was at the skill level of it, but never titled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny enough, the Shen stuff bothered me too. We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
No. Since we're talking about manta ray, I'm just going to add on an additional note here about questions for sentience and animals. Why is there a fishing village when we know that fish are sentient?
They're hungry. I don't know. Cannibal-ish.
My thought here while watching was, okay, maybe sea life isn't sentient, and like the dolphin master that was referenced in the previous one.
Yeah.
Dolphins are mammals. Maybe that's the exception. And then we see a talking fish later. I'm like, well, that's out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
maybe
there's a lot
maybe it's to get like seaweed or vegetation.
Yeah. So, well, I actually thinking on it. I think the film does cover its as much as I think that does damage the world building. There would be no need for a fishing village because they're a fucking fishing village. But maybe that is what they do. They farm seaweed. You could be right. But I think they cover their bases because I don't remember at any point in the franchise anybody in this universe eating meat.
No,
nothing comes to mind.
Which like all the soups and everything is
noodles
and vegetable stuff.
Yeah, which I think is an interesting thing to. I'm more weirded out that it was like. I had questions to ask now because of some of the absurdities in the film, but at the same time, I think that's within continuity. Like they didn't break anything because I don't think they have ever had like eating meat as a meal.
No, I
don't think we've seen them eat sushi or anything like that either. So.
Anyway, my world building nick is more towards the manta ray's ability to fly. It's not a huge problem, but.
Yeah, I can see it being feasible in this world. You know, any animal has like the skill to do anything, but we just don't know anything really about this manta ray.
Yeah, like I said, this is something fixable. They just need a throwaway line to explain that the sea monsters attack. Just give us some context to know that it's either a sentient beast that stole a kung fu scroll from the dolphin or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, a slight hint, maybe, possibly, of why it doesn't speak is the budget of the film.
Yeah, there is not. They have a very condensed team of voice actors for this one.
They could have just asked the janitor. I'm not gonna associate.
One could say cheapskates. I don't know.
I've no evidence, Tim. So yeah, I just find it incongruent with the franchise that we have this presumed non-sentient creature.
It also it takes away the confrontation of another side of the story, of something to like confront Poe. It just shows Poe in the limelight of like, oh yeah, he took down the bad guy.
He's doing his job.
But we don't
I
know.
guess.
Yeah, but we don't know the reason of this said bad. It's just feral.
It's terrorizing the village.
Yeah, the best guess is that it was terrorizing the village. I have questions about the logistics of the fight, among other things. I just thinking on the opening scene now. What did you guys think of Tai Lung's reintroduction? Even though it's not Tai Lung.
I like it because it doesn't focus. Well, no, you got the whole thing. I'm on the rock talking. It's weird that him on the rock talking is like a one-to-one voice of Ian McShane, and it's not the overlap voice of Chameleon.
Yeah, and also this
So
might
that
just
might
be
be
a
a
me
problem.
thing. This might be a me thing. Why is this happening? Because
To get the mountain goats are mining a mountain, which I thought was like, okay, mountain goats on a mountain. But the materials they're gathering, is that what the Chameleon uses to make the cages with? And this is getting the material and it's scaring them away.
If that's the case, then Poe would have come across a bunch of workers there collecting material when he went to go find tracks that were magically still there in the snow.
Workers who work for Chameleon?
Yeah, if they're there collecting materials for her cages, yes.
It could just be played off that the materials are all taken at that point. But then it brings up the other question: where are they building
mining it? They'd be mining it because you see veins of iron ore in the rocks.
Well, yeah, but what I'm getting at is they didn't get all of it. They just gathered what was already gathered by the mountain goats after they ran away free, scared.
So they only
left.
gathered what was already pre-mined, and they didn't mine anything else?
Possibly. That's why Poe didn't see any additional workers when he went.
Then that's a character nick, I think, for the Chameleon. Because the Chameleon is extorting the people in her city for resources. So I don't see why she wouldn't take the available resources.
This is us writing into it because none of that is shown. It's just like scaring the mountain goats, and that's it. And Poe doesn't see anyone when he goes back up.
Yeah, like I said, we're making assumptions here. I'm just pointing out that this is incongruent with what we have of the character established for the Chameleon. Later on, anyway.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, Springs, yes, that makes sense. I don't think there's enough, evidence
I agree. I don't think there's enough to prove one way or the other.
Yeah. I'm
just kind of going with what kind of makes sense with why the Chameleon would be there at all.
No, I understand why she's there. So don't get me wrong. Like her being there to take the resources makes perfect sense. I don't understand why she wouldn't keep taking the resources. That's where the character nick comes in for me.
Okay. Do you think there's a possibility she only took enough to make one cage for Poe, and then because of that failing later on, she sent more to get more cages? That's why later they're bringing more? But then that would be like a big time kind of... I don't know. Time's real weird.
Time is really weird. Characters teleport from one way to the other. So
geography is still a big question in this world.
Yeah, I have no idea. Because if those cages are meant to be taken back to her city... How do they get there if the way Poe and Zhen go is the only way to get there? The
only thing that it really shows is that the cages aren't being made in her temple.
Palace.
They're being made somewhere else.
Yeah, that for me makes sense. They would be made at the city forge, blacksmith, or whatever. But yeah, logistics and geography in this world make less sense than they did in the last film, which is not a great start.
Huh. All right. Well, let's go to Ryder for another point. Unless, Crimson, you had anything more to say on that.
No, actually, I just wanted to ask what your was with the geography statement Ryder just made.
My it's a...
Ryder was saying that it was worse than and then...
well, I can't really recall how much issue was prior. I know in the third one where they're like, oh... we got to go to the Panda village, and it shows the big journey of Lee, Kane, and Poe getting there, and then Tyrus gets there in an hour or something. Like, that was weird. Like, they took a super long way or something occurred like that, or time thing. I remember that. In the second one, I don't remember really the journey from Valley of Peace to get to um,
Young City.
wherever Shen,
Yeah,
where
they
Shen is.
montage. They do a montage training sequence for that particular journey.
And yeah, and the only thing that really comes up after that is like Shifu gets there, but that's kind of a surprise, and Shifu could have been coming for a while. It's not necessarily teleportation to get there because there's no scene really prior to see where his whereabouts are. And then the first movie, I guess the prison, but I think enough is clearly explained of Tylon getting from the prison to Valley of Peace.
Yeah. My example for saying, I guess this is worse comparatively to 3, because the example that we just gave, or you just reiterated, was the uh, the
Valley of Peace to
teleporting
the
from
Panda
Tigris and the Panda Village venture. There's stuff like that in this film, but it's just far more repetitive. So like, there's a lot more of that here present. So what I mean by it being worse is that it's just more. You see it more often. That characters are just
I
suddenly in one
guess,
place or the other.
yeah,
Oh.
it's faster than that, but they give like I guess you want to call them band-aid scenes, kind of, because it shows them traveling on places we haven't seen prior, like Liam peeing on the stairs, don't know where that is, or Zhen, and Poe in like the bamboo forest, don't know where that is. So it's kind of showing traveling,
Yeah, no, it's
but
not
it's
the it's not
spotty.
it's not the showing traveling part that gets me. It's the part where it's just characters are teleport still in the geography. Because,
Can you
for
give me an example?
example, yeah, sure. Even if they're taking material resources at the beginning here from the mine, that's near the Valley of Peace because it's nowhere near uh, the new city. Um, so that example is just Poe is there and then comes back. You know, like it's a train. It just cuts from one scene to the next. Like there's no space in between the scene. I know they're doing it for just getting us to the plot, but it's still very, very bad use of geography because I don't know where the cities
I
are in relation to one another as far as
We
the
had a
relevance.
lot
Okay.
in the third one. It wasn't just Tigris teleporting quickly. It was where was Poe's old village and where the new village is. Was the new village the old panda village with the chi that Kai tried taking way back when? Was this within Shen's province for him to kill all pandas? We had a whole lot of geography questions in the third one. We spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
And
Ryder,
the
I'm
first
not
one we talked a lot about the prison stuff too. But
Ryder, I'm not sure I fully agree with that example you gave for teleportation. Because I think showing Poe fighting the manta ray and then reopening Peen's restaurant or a new restaurant or something in Valley Peace, I think that gives enough time difference that within that, before Poe meets Zhen and fights in the temple and then goes to find the footprints that was brought up, I think that's enough time given all of that that Chameleon could have taken the resources needed.
I think what
I would
writer's going with
agree,
Sprinks.
but there's footprints that he sees still in the snow. Those would have been long gone. So he had to have teleported there.
I see.
That's true.
You were going to say Crimson? I don't want to interrupt your thought as well.
Uh, for me, it's less teleportation and just passage of time for a lot of these things.
It could be
We
that.
don't know
I consider
anything.
teleportation just purely of the pacing, but it could be just passage of time. They're just not very clear on it.
Like
I
the,
think
the
I agree
journey
with that
from
one.
Valley of Peace to the Juniper City, no idea. I don't know if that was a
No.
month, a day. I got no idea, and I hate
Same.
that I
I
have
don't
no
know if the
idea
whole movie is a week or if it's a year.
because that makes it worse. Because the people there don't know who the heck the Dragon Warrior is, so they have to be far away. But they don't show that it's far away. They have no reference or visual of it being a long journey. There's no montage that's like, climbing up mountains, crossing oceans to get there. It's they just get there.
I
It's
have a
not.
question about the comedy use in this world that could have occurred. Could there be a scene where Poe and Zen get to Juniper City and they meet up with someone and they're like, "Oh boy, Poe's like, I've been starved. We haven't eaten, a week or something." And someone just points and you can see Valley Peace across like the water, like where they're pointing. and then they look to Zhen, and Zhen goes, "I didn't know about that shortcut." Like, do you think that damages more, or do you think that's
Oh, I think that would
that's
heavily
funny,
damage.
but it makes Zhen stupid?
I think it would heavily damage everybody. I already think Poe's beyond repair at this point, but I think they would just make things intensely worse.
Okay.
Because the problem I had was Poe didn't know this place existed. He'd never heard of Juniper City. And with your example of, oh, it's right across the way, you can see it, that would make him really stupid. No one's heard of the Dragon Warrior, which would have been word of mouth if they were that close. So yeah, I think that would have been far worse if they showed they were close.
Okay. Just curious on a joke of that, how it would land.
It would be amusing, but it would create a lot of damage.
I will jump to a point of praise since I've been going in on the film. I actually quite like Li and Ping's dynamic for a majority of this film.
Yeah.
Oh, that was something you liked a lot in the third one.
Surprisingly, yeah. I still I think they continue that here fairly well.
Yeah, their dynamic was good.
Yeah, I don't have any like character issues with what's going on. I still enjoy their dynamic. I think if I were to nitpick on, it's more plot related issues that I have with them.
100%. Absolutely.
That they know where Juniper City is.
That they know where Juniper City is. That they find Poe instantly. There's a lot of plot related issues tied to them, but I think character wise, they're perfectly fine.
Yes, the actions they take make sense within their own characters.
Yes.
I can agree with that. Ping may be a little stupid when he goes into the bunny place, but it's whatever.
Okay.
We'll get there when we get
there. Okay, yeah. Trying to watch my words carefully so I don't contradict myself, but yes.
All right.
Speaking about praise, I think there's a good transition use where at timestamp 2 minutes 35 seconds, where I think it goes into like Chameleon / Tylee's eyes, and they transition into like Poe, I think. There's a couple good transitions in this movie.
I don't think that it's not. Yes, it is Poe's chameleon design. Only we see Poe's chameleon design later on has blue eyes instead of the yellow ones in the opening. But I still, I guess, appreciate the transition because the transition is nice. It's very simple, but
yeah, there's still some artistic flair in this. It's not devoid of it, even though we don't get crazy like 2D
Shen puppet show flashback thing,
or Poe's dream, or the training montage in the third one at the end area.
Oh yes. We do get. I think I know what you're hinting at. Is a flashback sequence.
Yeah, and I think that hardly counts if at all, but it's something.
I don't know if either two you would remember this. Hopefully, is the line when Poe, I think when he gets back to Valley of Peace after fighting the Stingray, and everyone's like on the bridge celebrating him, and they say, "We love you, Dragon Warrior," and he says, "And I love you too, adoring fan." Is that just stolen from Megamind?
Funny enough, I wrote the joke "random citizen" in my notes.
Yeah. I'm like, they're both DreamWorks properties, but
I'm gonna go with no. To be honest, that's a pretty normal thing to say as a funny, if you're famous.
It's kind of a generic line.
It's pretty generic,
but it could be. I don't remember Megamind, so I don't know how impactful that is of a line.
It was one of the premiere jokes in the Megamind trailer. So it's possible, Spriggs. I'm not gonna just assume their intent with that because it's too generic. Like if they, when
that's fine. It's not line for line, like word for word.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example. This is the only example I can think of at the moment. But do you remember in The Flash, Mark Hamill was playing a character? Yeah, right. And he did the whole "I am your father" speech. Like that to me is definitely intentionally stealing from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, like in Toy Story 2 where Zurg goes, "No, I am your father."
Yeah.
Star Wars. Yeah.
So like for me, those are more obviously intent because they're direct quotes, and in the case of Mark Hamill, it's double entendre. Yeah. Whereas with this, it's too generic of a line. I think if he had said "and I love you, random citizen" like the exact line, I probably would then be more willing to classify it as yeah, they stole the line.
Okay. Just curious. Well, with that, let's go to writer.
Again, all right. I find the again tiny joke. I don't like them making a joke out of Shifu, but I like the speed painting as a photograph joke.
Continue that from last time.
That's yeah, that brought up a question for me. Did Shifu like not teleport, but did he like trade places with a kid Po picked up, or did Po pick up Shifu and not notice?
Po didn't look down when he grabbed. He just
assumed.
he just reached down.
He just assumed the nearest smallest person was also just trying to get a photograph.
Okay.
And to go on to transition to something I didn't like about the scene, we go right from we go right into the photo scene from a scene I didn't like, which I guess is continuing Poe's disrespect of kung fu artifacts.
What do you mean? He has a whole speech with. I just wrote her name as Fox. I never wrote down her real name. What's her name?
Shen.
It's Shen. I didn't hear her name until like the hour mark of the movie anyway. So my notes are kind of the same. I just put Fox Lady.
Yeah, when in the temple, Poe's like, "How dare you desecrate the Hall of Heroes?" And I wrote, like him and his father in the previous film. I mean,
Yeah,
that's such a
really...
hollow line because they destroyed that any sentiment in the previous film.
Yeah, they destroyed that, and he's still doing it in this film with using Oogway's staff to fucking open a restaurant.
Yeah.
So that's a contradiction in the character for me that I hated.
I do like the follow-up joke though of destroying the urn of Whispering Warriors. Like that's just a reoccurring bit.
Yes, I do admit I enjoy that as a reoccurring bit, but I don't like anything else that had to do with the scene.
Yeah. Also, they now just have statues. There's like just huge, giant, like marbled statues there now in the temple.
I suppose
those weren't in any of the previous films, right?
No, they just had the pillars and the dragon sigil on the ceiling or whatever.
They might have installed them when they had to repair the place, but
it's true. It did get wrecked.
Yeah, we do, but yeah, no. This is our first time seeing them. I don't know if I have a big issue with that because some time has passed and the place was wrecked last time, so they just took the time to renovate. But it's still weird seeing it different, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, they had an Oogway statue, and that also destroyed the palace, so that could line up.
Also, you made me question my memory. I just pulled it up. It really does look like Po picks up Shifu.
Does he look down at what he's grabbing
at?
Oh, then
yeah, he looks down and then says, "And then you," and then it cuts to the pig.
All right, yeah, that's.
So that's what I'm going. I can't tell if he picked up Shifu or he picks up a kid, and when it cuts back to Po, Shifu's there because then Shifu moved the kid.
Actually, you know what? I think I'm okay that Po picked up Shifu. I just realized why because he asks to keep the photograph.
He does, but then he's surprised when he notices Shifu's in his hand.
Yeah, there's something about that scene that's still off, but I think I'm okay with him planning it. I don't think I'm okay with his surprise unless he's faking it. And I have a lot of issues with Po this film. So.
Even though Shifu's the only red panda we see, I'm sure there's more red pandas out there. So Po could have just saw the top of a red panda, pose for a photo.
Sure, that sounds like a stretch, but okay. Because I don't think
it doesn't seem like a stretch. Because we don't have any lore regarding red pandas. We've had lore about pandas being rare, but then not to be true.
The only lore we have about red pandas is that Shifu is going to be the only one in the films. Thus far. That was one of Dustin Hoffman's requests in the first film. So whether they keep to that, I have no idea.
Oh, well, in that case, Crimson, there's a likelihood that
doesn't make it canon within the story.
No. But I find this film very disrespectful, so there's a likelihood they did that when it gets Dustin's own wishes. Also, that was another thing. I don't know if we brought it up with Shen. Did Shen care about red pandas?
No.
That made him a little racist now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the prophecy
red pandas
was a
aren't
warrior
black and
of
white.
black and white.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
but he's a little mad. He's a little crazy dude. I feel like he would wipe them all out.
I don't know if I would consider Shen mad. He's a little unhinged, but not like crazy like the Joker. He's very directed anger.
Yeah, but he's still a failure. So I don't know.
He is a failure.
Anywho, let's go to Crimson now.
Okie dokie.
Does he have a billion questions?
Yeah. So I got irritated with Shifu in this.
What? Me too.
I know. It's crazy. When Poe was telling him about the chameleon and this threat, and he's gonna go pursue the threat, and Shifu's like, "That's not your job. Your job is to find a successor." Like, His job is to protect the valley. Poe even says it. Your job is to find a successor. What? That irritated me. I got irritated with that. That was such a stupid line.
Yeah. As much as Shifu is supposed to feel like a mentor figure, he's never been that kind of ignorant towards the rest of the world. Like he's sent the Dragon Warrior on missions many times before this point. So why is another one? I guess he wants Poe to move on, but obviously he would prioritize a threat. I don't see why he wouldn't do that.
Do we know? Probably not at all. Do we know how much time has passed since the third film to now?
No, I have no idea.
Because only way I took it was Shifu, this whole time with the Dragon Warrior, never brought up like a successor to the Dragon Warrior was needed until now because of Oogway's staff. So I think that like overrid the Dragon Warrior title of being Oogway like passed down to Oogway. So now Shifu sees Poe being more Oogway himself, not like 1-to-1, but like now that's his track. So which is making this new rule of like now you need a successor for the Dragon Warrior because there's no Dragon Warrior prior to Poe unless it's showing that Oogway was the Dragon Warrior prior because he chose Poe in the first movie.
No, he made the prophecy. No, that was a huge problem I had with this film. Was just the Dragon Warrior title. The Dragon Warrior was the chosen one, the one. It's not a thing that passes down. There's no choosing. It's destiny. It was prophesized.
I think Shifu's just like you can't have both. You can't have Oogway
I
staff.
think the writers are like we need another character to add to the franchise. I think it's nonsense.
I think if they want that, make Poe a really old 90-year-old panda.
That would make more sense. At least, like, I don't. It's not a title.
Don't make him look like he's still from the first movie.
Yeah, I think like the. So yeah, I agree. The Dragon Warrior isn't a title. He's the prophesized. He's the chosen one. It shouldn't be a title passed down, unless Poe chooses to pass it down. Like I'm more than happy for the Dragon Warrior to get an apprentice to train. That makes some sense to me because in a way, that's another form of training as a kung fu master. You need to be able to teach somebody else your skill set. So there is a natural progression that exists here, in theory, but I also have issues because the Dragon Warrior was prophesied to be the chosen one. So it doesn't make Shen the next Dragon Warrior just because Poe chose her. It's a title, as far as I'm concerned, that needs to be earned.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be mandated because that's what he's doing. He's like,
yeah,
you have to do this. It's not Poe's like, yeah, I feel like I'm good to move on from this. Obviously, by the end he does, but that's because it got shoved down his throat and brought to his attention. I don't think it should have been brought to his attention in the first place.
This might be jumping ahead, but I really don't like at all how Zhen is now the Dragon Warrior because of Poe's decision, and she didn't learn one lesson that the Dragon Warrior is supposed to learn.
What are you talking about? She's skadoosh.
Inner peace.
Both are failures.
Yeah, exactly.
First off, there's no skadoosh. And secondly, inner peace was learned in the third film, and Poe still doesn't know what that is, even though he mastered it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here on that note, let's go to the meditation scene. This annoyed the shit out of me because of he's already mastered this as a technique.
And there's nothing thrown in of like what's blocking him. What's that he's
Yeah.
hungry. He's got 8 voices in his head. 8 voices that
Yeah.
are now also in Shifu's head.
Yeah. Okay. I like the joke, I guess, the parallel that all Shifu hears is Poe's voice when he's trying to meditate. I like that as a parallel joke, but I don't like that it takes away from the character's abilities that they are shown to have had up until this point.
Yeah. This Shifu in this 4th film, I don't think he could do the cool water trick from the 2nd movie.
I don't think
The
he
water
can do
droplet.
anything.
What are you talking about? We see him attempt to use chi on a bonsai.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're very right. He does do that. He just walks by and gives it flowers.
Yep.
And is that
so
the only chi
cool.
we see in this movie?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, unless
Well, the chi is what's being stolen from the masters. That's the yellow color that's happening. But
she's still in the.
Poe doesn't use chi really.
The only move of chi that he uses is whenever his staff goes gold, because that's what we tie everything to chi to, because they have the same color. So I would assume that's the
dragon
only
attack.
move he has chi. Yeah,
There's no Fire Fist, though.
that's true. There isn't any Fire Fist.
It's just so weird making Poe in this 4th installment practically the first movie.
Yeah,
Like in the first movie, he knows so much. Like he doesn't know the skill of it, but he knows all the things. He knows all the moves and all this stuff. This, he still knows the stuff, but he's like, he doesn't know. He doesn't do it.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah, I agree. Just plain face. I feel like Shifu is mocking him too, because like there isn't. This is something the first film did really well. Shifu is mocking him in that film, but he's also trying to teach at the same time, and eventually that just turns to teaching once he learns how to teach Poe. But since then, it's since pretty much the 3rd film, I just find Shifu to be mocking Poe most of the time as his form of quote unquote teaching, that go learn your lesson kind of stuff. And it's just like more of a make Poe go self-discover, because Shifu has no place in this story anymore. I mean, it would make more sense, I think, if Shifu was instead of trying to get him past the dragon, he was just pushing Poe to get an apprentice. Like, it's time for you to teach somebody.
But that was the lesson of the 3rd one. He needs to teach people. He needs to be a leader.
Well, no,
Isn't it great that he
the
teaches
lesson.
Zhen in the credits of this movie?
I don't know. See, that's what he ended up doing, and the 3rd one is a byproduct of what the situation presented itself as. But I don't really think they're all apprentices to him, because otherwise the entire valley would know kung fu if we're going to go based off the ending of that film.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
Ryder, that's the plot for the next movie.
Kung fu.
The Siege of the Valley of Peace. Yeah.
The Valley of Justice.
Meanwhile,
one of my-
in the Hall of Justice.
One of my early notes in this was going a little different topic now. Was when he was running back to the village after the Manta Ray fight. He's running across the bridge, and I'm like, okay, all right. There better be 0 stair jokes. And shortly after, there was a stair joke.
Yeah.
So
remember the first time you climbed these stairs?
And he's
Irritated
struggling.
the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Because that was a problem I had in the 3rd movie too. I brought that up, was the stairs still being an issue for him when he's doing all this kung fu, energetic, you need to be fit to do moves, and he still dies on stairs.
The benefit of the only stair joke in the 2nd film, which works, is because he's still learning, like he's still fitting into the group and stuff like that. So that for me was just an okay. You can repeat it here. But once it was done in the 3rd one and the 4th one, they're just hammering it home. I didn't like it.
This is not a good on-running bit like the Urn of Whispering Warriors. This one doesn't work.
It is not. No, it's regressive.
Yeah.
Takes away.
It would be one thing if they cracked the joke and Poe is not struggling like getting up the stairs behind him at all. Like, that would be fine. But to show him struggling still, really, it's unnecessary.
Like, what if
His
he
blood
had
sugar was low?
What if he had Shifu racing him up the stairs? Because Shifu's fast and Poe's running, but he's still behind Shifu, but he's actually
That'd be
running.
cool.
And he can make fun of him. Like,
If
still
Shifu
slow,
was
but look at
better,
your improvement or something.
That would
Yeah.
be great. It would show the two of them are still having a partnership. There's still a master apprentice relationship. That would be wonderful. I would love to see them race.
That would be awesome.
but that I haven't seen that Shifu since like the second movie.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I mean, we
agree.
did say the third one, Shifu's a different person in that one. So
And in this one's a different person too, somehow.
Yeah. Speaking about those stairs and issues, I spotted an animation error, which was around the 7-minute time stamp where Poe falls forward and you can see how wide the stairs are. Like they're pretty narrow and they're walking up. And then it cuts to Shifu and shows a shot of Shifu and Poe. The stairs are so wide. They change depth.
yeah, I see what that was now. I missed it on my watch, but you pointed it out to me earlier. So.
That will
Good
not be the
catch.
first animation error that we point out.
No.
So what do we think of the Dragon Warrior candidates?
4 of the 5 are pretty good. And I don't know why
Which
they're not
one's not
called
good?
upon later. Oh, which one's not good? The one played by Mr. Beast.
I don't know what that one is.
The one in Poe cosplay.
Oh, okay. I thought you liked that one because it's a joke.
Wasn't funny. Jokes are supposed to be funny.
Why didn't you like it?
Because he didn't do anything. He just stood there in costume. The other ones actually showed off skills.
My thoughts on the candidates. I mean, it was a whatever scene. I really wish Shifu dug into Poe more for picking himself. It seemed like a very light talk afterwards.
Yeah,
That also kind of made the whole scene pointless.
Yeah.
It really made the whole scene pointless. And also, Shifu would have realized this would be the ultimate result before it happened by just hearing Poe talk about how he doesn't want to be anything other than the Dragon Warrior.
Yeah, they needed to have a talk, like a more serious talk. This is just like Poe accepting Shifu's stance because Shifu got the candidates together, which I guess shows a passage of time in some way. But then Poe being childish and not accepting when he really should just told Shifu, "Hey, we need to talk about this."
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where the issue often with sequels and children movie franchises is they often forget to have more mature scenes because kids can understand perfectly well Tai Lung and Shifu's dynamic, and again, when they're having their back and forth at the end of the film during their fight, and we're getting more context for who Tai Lung is as a character. Like, kids can take serious stuff, so I don't know why they're, dumbing it down for the sake of comedy. Well,
there you go. For the sake of comedy, that's your answer.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it is for the sake of comedy, but I'm more like this franchise was capable once of being able to do both, like knowing when to use comedic timing and knowing when to keep it serious.
They lost the pizzazz.
They really did.
They skadooshed themselves.
No, they skablammed themselves.
Oh, even better. Nicely done. Did you guys like that, I guess for the sake of comedy, another 4th installment of a franchise that uses a screaming goat joke?
I just wrote, why screaming goat meme still? Why? It's 2024. That's old. And yeah, it's the second one that I'm aware of recent.
Oh, is that the two
imagine you're
nickels
referencing
joke?
Thor.
The what now?
Is that the 2 nickels joke you made in our reaction?
Yes, that.
Okay, yeah, that makes
I'm
sense.
like, oh, another 4th installment with a screaming joke goat.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It's low hanging fruit. Kung Fu Panda has dropped to screaming goat level.
Speaking about, I guess, well, not drop it, but something I guess for writer that I'm curious if it got on your nerves, being the writing of this film. How did you like how much the lines were reused between Poe and Zhen to really beat you over the head that, man, they're like one and the same?
Oh, I was nauseated. The only thing that I think I like about their dynamic is they're showing their friendship slowly growing rather than telling. At least in my mind, with the whole like sharing the cookie thing, like that bit mattered more to me than they're constantly repeating lines back to each other.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
And mind you, I don't mind the thoughtful echo being used as a writing tool, but this was kind of ridiculous.
When it happens like 5 times.
Yeah, I'm like you can get away with. I'll enjoy. I love the first one. I'm okay with 2. 3 is pushing it. After that, it's like, all right, I get it. You need to stop now.
And I guess stance of like poor taste in writing. Ryan Johnson with the example there from writer Crimson. I know you have the similar thing when it comes to like Falcon Winter Soldier. So how do you relate to this?
Uh, wait,
A
I'm lost.
message
What was
being
the
beaten
parallel?
over your head.
Okay,
You
yeah,
got to
I
do better, Senator.
don't like it. That was one of my issues with Kung Fu Panda 2 was the inner peace message being shoved down our throats. That was one of my issues there. I don't think it's as bad in this as Kung Fu Panda 2. I didn't actually have much issue with its repeated nature here.
I don't know if it's not necessarily the character lesson learning that's being repeated, Crimson. I think Sprinks is more referring to like just the dialogue exchange between Zen and Poe.
Yeah, a way to bond 2 characters is just to have both characters say the same thing. And it's like, oh, let's not do that to the rule of 3, which is a joke. Which I'll give it a little praise to when I had the mountain goats saying hey to one another. They did it 3 times, and I'm like, rule of 3, pretty good. This time it goes on beyond that. But like the
It's more
tone of
like
what
a
they're saying,
guideline.
yeah. But it's like I think the 5th time they say a line or something, then Poe finally like a message comes across. It's like, oh, I finally get what we're talking about here.
Which one are you referring to when you're saying that?
It was towards the very end, like fight. Don't know which one. I only wrote down a handful. Like the first one I wrote down was nothing about you says dragon or warrior. Like, oh wow.
Yeah,
So the similar
it's
thing.
called back later. Yeah. I didn't find it overdone in this personally, so I didn't have issues with it.
Okay. Or every step leaves a footprint, no matter how small.
Yeah, it's just callbacks. I didn't find it too offensive.
Okay.
I have a I guess I have a script complaint as well. Where we're kind of on repeating lines, or not repeating lines, but more of a kind of a repeating character trait. It's kind of a thing done since Kung Fu Panda 1 that whenever Poe receives some like big news, he takes it as a joke first, not taking it seriously. Like even in this film when Poe is told that he needs to go find a successor, he's like, haha, you're funny, and then realizes that um Shifu's being
Jufu isn't
serious.
joking.
Yeah, Shifu's being serious. In that vein, why does he immediately think the goats are telling the truth about Tai Lung? Wouldn't his reaction be to laugh in the same way every time he gets that kind of news?
Great point.
Interesting pitch.
Yeah, this is definitely a character trait kind of thing. So I want to get opinions here.
No,
from everybody.
that's a good point. That means that's showing more disrespect onto Shifu than random civilians running into town.
Yeah,
he trusts them more than Shifu. That's hurtful.
That's a good way to interpret it. I just took it as Poe being an inconsistent character, but that's a fair evaluation to have of the scene.
Yeah, in this standalone movie, both are true in what is shown. So he trusts Shifu less than random civilians. Ouch.
I mean, even in the first one, it's around Shifu that he's like, "Oh, you're serious?" After the
but I can let that slide a little for being the first film.
Well, I'm talking about at bolstering your point of him not taking Shifu seriously, but taking the villagers seriously. That they're being consistent with it. That he questions Shifu's as a joke instead of taking him seriously.
Yeah, but
it is now a consistent trait they've done.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah,
you're saying this is another running bit like the stairs of the urn?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's set up to where you can draw lines now saying it is an established thing.
Oh, Yeah, I don't
if
like
every
that.
time Shifu delivers something serious and Poe just laughs and then is like, "Are you serious?" Then that becomes a thing if it's common, and it is.
It is, but that's in world like just something Poe is to Shifu. Which
Mhm.
after like fourth film now, that's just to the point of being disrespectful and rude. But to the outer audience, it's like, oh, they're doing the thing again that they've done multiple times between the two characters, which is why I said a bit. But
So I'd say, yeah, Poe's a little out of character writer with your
Cool.
point.
yeah, I don't like it.
All right,
Um,
let's hear what Sprank's going to say first.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna pull the crimson card right now. I'm host. You go first.
No!
Yes.
You got Uno reverse card. How do you feel, Crimson?
Oh no. I feel vulnerable and weak. All right, so let's just talk about it. The Furious Five, you know, I didn't say it in my history because
Okay.
I forgot,
knew this
but I
would
knew
come up.
that going into this. That I thought they weren't in here at all, but I was surprised that there was some element.
Well, somewhat. I think the only one who got voice credit was Seth Rogen, and that's for the credits
For the
of the
yell.
movie.
Well, he yelled through the ring, right?
He did.
But yeah, the Furious Five being written off, irritated. Because I knew going into this they weren't going to be there, so I'm like, okay, this has to be a really good explanation. Oh, they're off doing their own little journeys now. Mantis is trying not to get killed by his wife and whatever.
It's
things are
not the
happening.
strongest answer.
All at the same
where they
time.
are. Yes. And with instances in the past, they get paired. Like the Tylon, all had to go. The split up to go see what General Kai's doing, they went into pairs. Like everything's grouped up. Now it's all individual, which not great. So it's not a great story. But I'm very neutral on it because I think the story they're telling in this movie doesn't need them. And after the events of the third film and how much help they really did, kind of goes with that. I'm not saying it couldn't have been better with them incorporated into this movie, but without them, I don't necessarily know how much we're necessarily like missing without them. So I'm neutral on it.
I agree with the sentiment. I don't know how much they could add to the current film we have, but they need to actually do their job and get rid of them properly. They are all on their own. Like you said, they're usually pairs or groups. They're all on their own, doing their own adventures, all at the same time. That would be convenient. And then they all show up at the end, happy dandy, we're together now.
I could go into the example
so
again.
it's
Maybe
poorly
just the
written.
budget.
No, you have no evidence of that.
I don't. I just have. There's so
you
many
can't
voice
use
actors
that
not
for
present.
anything. No. And who's to say they couldn't bump up the budget to get them? I mean, there's nothing for that. I'm not going to use that. So I think it was very weak and pathetic, and I think it damages it.
I'm on the page of I don't think they would add to the story at all, so I'm fine with them not being in the film. I agree they needed to justify them all being gone in a much better way, or just have Tigress be there and she'll be the one to protect the temple. You can have a throwaway line while Poe's off on his adventure. So there's just that know that they still guard the temple. There's always one of them with Shifu and stuff like that. They don't all need to be off like doing the random things.
That could work.
Yeah.
Or better yet, that could have worked. I have a little nitpick, possibly, if someone can explain it to me. How come when Poe goes to see the tracks, and there's the tracks and they're like shrinking and they're changing size, and Poe goes, "Oh, how come it cuts to the prison and not Poe following the tracks?"
Because he figured it out.
Oh, because remember she said some line of like, oh, like the smallest footprint or whatever, and then he sees small footprints and realizes that she knows or something, which is about the biggest fucking stretch I've ever seen in a script.
So rather than being like, "Oh, what is this?" trying to find an answer then and there, he goes, "Oh, she's right about small footprints. I'm gonna go see her."
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
I'm at the point where I think I hate that. That is really dumb.
Yeah,
It is.
it is.
Especially with Poe being like, "I'm the Kung Fu Panda. I'm the Dragon Warrior. I'm the big, high, mighty guy." After a single fight with the Stingray, I think he thinks he can take on anything. At least get his butt kicked to get answers, and then go talk to Zhen.
What's the chameleon's goal?
To learn Kung Fu the fastest way possible.
So
And
the best
is it just to procure the staff, or is it to get Poe and the staff?
Okay.
'Cause
So
that's a big question I have for this film.
Well, a
okay,
big question
no.
is,
staff.
The
what
big
does she think about Oogway? Because he's not mentioned like at all.
But the Ugo is a
So
whole
how
different
powerful
thing.
does Chameleon know about Oogway's staff is to even want it?
Funny you bring up the chameleon's motivations. I don't have a fucking answer for you after thinking about it because her motivations don't make any sense. So they obviously know about the Dragon Warrior, regardless of what the film has to say about it. At least the chameleon does, and Zhen, because their job is to lure the Dragon Warrior there to get the staff. Which means I have no idea why Zhen bothered to trying to steal stuff from the temple with all the like materials and stuff like that.
Greedy? Just extra stuff?
Well, no, because she's an apprentice to the chameleon. Remember, that's a front.
Yeah, but even still, if she can get back to Juniper City with like the staff and Poe captured, and then be like, "Oh, Chameleon, here's a couple extra stuff I got."
Oh, maybe.
Like I'm sure that would help, but
Yeah, but like I said, I don't know the motivation for her to do any of that purely because she knows she's going to get punished if she shows up without the staff, even if she did steal a bunch of other kung fu artifacts. And to go into the other half of the chameleon's quote unquote plan, the best I can describe it is that she was rejected from every kung fu temple that she tried to apply to because of her size, and therefore she is trying to get her revenge by taking the chi of dead kung fu masters and therefore learn their skills by just observing them and then taking the chi to see how their techniques are used with their chi. It's either the answer is it's either fucking magic bullshit that they didn't explain clearly enough, or her plan doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't know about the latter part about witnessing them. Like Tylan's the only one who gets like a cool fight thing, and she goes, "Oh, okay, thank you."
Oh, you're right.
Everyone
You're
else,
right.
she just
Sorry, that was me.
takes them afterward.
You're right. That was me making an assumption based on the film. I completely forgot we don't get any of that for the rest of the fights. I have no idea.
Yeah,
She just get a montage of
they're like
tongue to the
floating,
head.
and she just takes them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she's stealing their muscle memory, maybe.
All I can do is shrug. I have no idea. The film gave me not enough to work with. I can't even infer. I can infer, but none of what I have to infer will be a clear answer. And
it would have helped
definitely a failing
if during that final fight with Poe and Chameleon, if Chameleon was doing moves other Kung Fu Masters' signature moves were. I mean, she does the Tylon like stab two finger stab or whatever. But if she was doing moves and Poe was like, "Oh, that's this move of that
He was
master,
doing that.
this one and that." In the final fight, he was doing that.
Yeah, he did that everywhere.
Oh, I thought he was doing that when the Masters were doing the thing, not in all Chameleon.
Oh, you mean the Omega form? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't do that with the Omega form.
Okay.
We kind of branched off of my point I was actually leading towards was staff or Poe or both.
I think the staff is the priority, judging by the fact
the other
that
way. I think it's Poe.
No, her plan doesn't work without the staff. Poe is a bonus. I don't deny that, but she cannot open the portal without the staff.
Yeah, the reason I ask this question because if the goal was just to take the staff, then Shen, that was the fox you said, Shen.
Yeah.
Shen could have just taken it when he's sleeping or any other time, really. Even when on the journey together, it could have even been before that. But let's just say the temple fight happens and they're on a journey. Poe had to sleep during this journey. Could have just taken a runaway.
I agree.
But there's no line saying, "Yes, you got the Dragon Warrior. I can't wait to use his powers," or anything like that. It's not a goal of the Chameleon to absorb the Dragon Warrior. she actually seems quite brazen with the Dragon Warrior, and like, I'm gonna need 10 of you to get out of that. And she doesn't seem to care at all about Poe.
You know what? I now lean on that more a little because she doesn't utter a word about Shifu. Where the people in the Thieves Guild, or whatever, they're like, I don't know who the Dragon Warrior is, but then it's like Shifu, and they're like, oh yeah, we know Master Shifu. But Chameleon doesn't care about capturing Shifu at all, which portrays to me that Chameleon doesn't care about masters that are still living. Which I guess then leads me more to the capture of the staff.
Which I think is really bad for the film, if her goal was just to get the staff.
Because at the point, wouldn't the masters living be more of a threat than the ones in the spirit realm?
They
would be more of a threat, yes.
The attempt at a band-aid for this Crimson, the film attempts, is that the staff must be gifted. Like, they can't just steal it, or it's like a powers will work. That's their excuse. I'm not saying it's a good one. It's pretty lame, but that's what the film argues.
But they didn't know that. They didn't know that until he explained it later.
Well, yeah, he explains it to Shen. And the Shen, that's why they're... I don't know, again, it doesn't make any sense because they'd have to have orchestrated this, because they had to orchestrate a scenario where Poe could then gift Shen the staff in order to try and free himself, but then she just keeps the staff because it's been gifted.
She gifts it to Chameleon, but Poe didn't gift it to her.
Yeah, he did, when he was trapped. That was the point
for the leverage? That was the gift?
Yeah.
Like handing it... Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what the film is arguing. I'm not saying it's good, but that's what they're attempting to say that it was.
Got like Elder Wand power.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's not good, but now connecting the dots there, okay.
Yeah, the motivation, I think, is clearly the staff. But as Crimson said, there's a lot of issues with that, even in of itself, and it's detrimental to the film. And I think the excuse that they give, being pretty much some random bullshit rule regarding how the staff works, isn't really enough to justify this whole ordeal.
It would have been nice of Oogway to tell someone about a weakness.
Let's okay. All right, you want to tackle Oogway? We can tackle Oogway.
Yeah.
Why not? Right? Where is Oogway? Where's his name really in many of this? Other than Shifu saying, "I'm not Oogway."
Yeah.
Yeah, Shifu says Oogway's name, but it's not relevant to any of the plot that's happening. And a problem I had, and I think Ryder had in the third one, was that Oogway has the power to communicate through the Shadow Realm. What are they called?
Yeah.
Spirit Realm. Shadow Realm. Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. I did it last time. Spirit Realm. So why isn't he telling him anything again?
Much like with Rian Johnson introducing ghosts having the ability in Star Wars, what is the point of being alive?
Crimson, you're not going to like my answer.
Oh, let's hear it. I'm happy to not be happy.
Is the voice actor for Oogway still alive?
All right, so no, that's not a good answer because they could just get a replacement.
Okay.
Okay, let's say he's still alive. Does that change things for you?
Why didn't they pay the voice actor to be Oogway?
Why didn't they write Oogway into the story?
Because they couldn't afford the voice actor.
All right. Sprinks, you are getting very dangerous to my sanity level. Giving you a warning. Oof. Trying to have a serious debate and you're turning it into a joke for me.
No, if they had Oogway in and recast him and everything, I think it being what this movie is with the other characters, it would get to some point of disrespect onto Oogway, which they kind of did in the third movie where he just lets General Kai take him after their fight in the spirit realm, where it's like, why is there fatigue in the spirit realm? Or what? That was a question for that one. Anyway, in this one, if he can like voice, and we've already seen voices of, it's replaced by the two Shifus talking in Poe's head, but that could be Oogway, especially through the use of the staff. If it has to be like the staff connected to speak, because I think Oogway spoke to Poe. Did he speak to Shifu? Was it like through the winds or something? The universe talking in the third movie, or was it just to Poe with the staff? Because then
it
that
just
could be
confirmed Poe.
okay, I'm like, that could be another power onto the staff that the staff wielder can hear it. But then they'd have to go into this movie if that's a thing of like, if Shen's holding staff, she can hear Oogway. If Chameleon's holding staff, but they also chose not to have Oogway at the end, even without a voice, because there's characters in here without a voice. Even not having Oogway come out to get his powers taken, like he's just not present. That I don't know either. So it just kind of implies Chameleon didn't take everyone in the spirit realm, like every master.
All right, I'll buy your explanation of the staff and Oogway talking through it. I can accept that. Unless he says that after Poe has the staff in the third one, which I don't remember if he talks.
I thought there was something with the rose petals or the blossom tree. Or maybe I'm confusing that with the second movie.
I don't remember. If Oogway talks after Poe has the staff in the third one, I don't buy it. But if he doesn't talk after the staff's been passed, then I will buy it. But that doesn't excuse his absence at the end here, as you stated.
Do you think there's more loss of the absence of Oogway in this film, more so than the Furious 5?
Yeah, because this is all about taking the powers of masters, and Oogway is one of the best.
Chameleon doesn't even talk about Oogway.
No. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Really.
To preface a little bit, to kind of get back to the original point, I guess, of this, where this started, my take on with dead voice actors is if they are going to be important, just recast them. And if not,
he's alive, I'll look it up.
Yeah, and if not, write around them. That's not nearly an excuse to avoid having them in the film.
Yeah, I'm like, that would have been a cool fight if Chameleon's turning into all these masters that Poe has to fight, and Chameleon, like the last one, changes into Oogway.
This is going to be
would have been nice.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite voice actors, Billy Kametz, died of pancreatic cancer, during the voice recording of one of my favorite animes of all time. And
he was like 36 when he passed. He was young.
Yeah, he was very young.
Sad.
Yeah, like I said, he was one of my favorite voice actors that passed away, and he was recorded everything but the last 2 episodes of my favorite anime, one of my favorite animes of all time. He passed away during the production of that, and they obviously had to recast him because just by the nature of what the story was still trying to tell and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where you have to pay as much respect as you can possible. But and then in the case of something like an anime where the story's already written and you can't just write the character out, because also you're dubbing something that's been made overseas as well, it's difficult to get around that as an obstacle. So I don't view recasting as disrespect, as painful as it might be. Like, even the voice actor that had to replace Billy Kametz talks about it. He's like, I love the role I was given, but I know I wasn't the first choice, you know?
Yeah, so, I mean, there's certainly an element to that. Like, you can't have, like, a really deep voice character and then it's, like, replaced with a really high-pitched person. It's like, then it's, like, a real change and there's need to be an explanation for it, because then they can come across disrespectful, but that's onto the voice actor. It's like, because there's also just, like, impressionists. It's like, you got to just do what is beforehand or go a new route. So there's a whole behind-the-scenes thing with that.
Yeah, but my point is that it's not necessarily on the art that's being done itself to do that. Like, if the voice actor pays homage to it outside of, like, the dub, I'm fine with that as long as they're paying their respects, you know?
Yeah,
and then to kind of go into, I guess, the other part of this, Oogway being absent, I think it's a problem considering the goals here of the Chameleon, what we're told the goals are.
Maybe Master Oogway signed on for a 3-pitcher deal and is like, I'm not coming back for the 4th one.
And they were replaced with a different voice actor. I mean, that's...
Oh, I was talking
the actor
about
doesn't dictate the character. Oh, the turtle himself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I follow you.
All right. Making a joke. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Because I'm like, they could have just animated him in. They animate Shen. Shen's present. Shen doesn't have a voice.
Same
Yep.
with Kai, right? Kai doesn't speak.
Did Kai
Right.
say anything?
Kai doesn't
I don't
say
think so.
anything. No.
Okay. I thought during the bow at the end Kai said, but okay. They got Ian McShane for Tylon. But Gary Oldman, J.K. Simmons. I hope so.
I think I don't know why Poe is this dumb. So
Huh?
yeah, I know, right? Shocker, he's not a smart character in this film. So Poe is childish, but he was never dumb. He was always had an inner child. That doesn't make him stupid. You know, there's a distinction I think that this film really lacks in its ability to make. They've made him dumb and naive in a way that I don't think fits his character, who has been on numerous adventures at this point. Because
there's no point of him being dumb after the whole talk we had in the second movie with him and Tigress on the boat.
Yeah.
That showed the maturity level of how childish he is with what he's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
This is backpedaling in this film of his intelligence.
So much. And I think a lot of it boils down to just and this is going to be a product of more modern films, but introducing a character that does nothing but demean the main character to try and prop up the new character. Which is essentially what the Fox lady, what Shen does to Poe. She's constantly insulting him, and he's taking those insults as compliments because he doesn't understand them. And I don't like this because he clearly knows the difference. I mean, he knows when Shifu is calling him fat in the first film. So it's not like he's not incapable of understanding. They're just ignoring this to try and prop up the new character.
I didn't view it that way of propping up the new character, but I mean, he is dumb. We asserted how stupid he was in the third one as well. I mean, compared to the previous two.
What do they do to Shen to put her in the situation of like Poe, like talking down or making her down? Just the thing that she's working with Chameleon, for them to go, oh no, she's a bad guy, but then she redeems herself.
They don't do anything with her to kind of demean her in the same way. They would have never, I think, because they're the new character trying to
get across the whole thing of like they're alike. See how she can take heat and dish it out.
Yeah, they don't do any of that. It's like the basic stuff of like, oh, she's a thief and that's bad. Like they don't really go beyond that. They don't go into personality flaws or anything like that. Which kind of gets into a little bit of what might be controversial. Is Shenna Mary Sue?
I didn't watch the movie thinking that.
Because I think she's definitely angling towards Mary Sue. I don't think she is.
Enough, in one way, she kind of just gets handed things.
Yeah.
I feel like a rewatch would be needed to like
confirm
point by point for that. I am leaning in that direction though.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing it, and I'm also leaning in that direction. Because I'm trying to think
Chameleon gives her a chance out of the blue. The underground bad guys that she betrayed were like, oh yeah, we'll help you out later. Twice they help her out.
She never gets captured.
The world's
when she gets captured, she slips out immediately.
She just happens to run into the only two people that were willing to help Poe, to his dad's.
Poe lets her do the fight on her own at the end, and she succeeds without failure.
That's true. To give her moment.
And he goes, "Oh, I knew you could do it."
I think you just sealed it for me, Springs, with that last one. I was like, that kind of did it for me.
Yeah, I think, and mind you, the only thing that they didn't do, mind you, she also knows Kung Fu, and she was taught by the Chameleon, who somehow needs to learn Kung Fu.
Who wasn't taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. And mind she's not like the best at Kung Fu. The only thing I like, I guess that the only thing that I can think of that goes against her being a Mary Sue is the credits, where you see her struggling with a couple of the activities that the Furious Five are doing. But she survived real fights, so I'm just looking at this as like, what's the point of this now?
Why is she struggling now?
Yeah, exactly.
Fine the whole time.
Yeah,
it would have been cool if she's doing moves that Poe didn't recognize. it's like, oh, what was that? And she goes, I don't know. I just learned it on the streets.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Because Poe learned all from masters and actual teachings, and she
Yeah.
learned
Like
from a
the
person
only example of
who
her,
was never accepted.
yeah, the only example of her being taught something in the film that would go against the grain of her being Mary Sue is the staff move for Skabloosh or Skablam.
Well, she gets taught 3 lessons, as they plainly say.
Oh,
so.
right. Sorry.
Yeah, and she gets the staff move on her second try.
That's also true. Yeah, all right, I'm sold. I'll say Mary Sue. I didn't
Wait,
see it watching
Is the
it.
second try she says skadoosh instead of skabam? Because the
No,
first
she
time
says
she says
skablam.
skabam.
No, she
Okay,
still
on both
says
times.
Skablam. Poe corrects her.
It's her
Okay,
thing.
I was curious. I'm like, the first one she says it, and Poe goes, "No, it's skadoosh. You said it incorrectly." And if the second time she says skadoosh, it's like, "Oh wow, she could have done it the first time."
Yeah.
All right, I'm sold.
Yeah, cool.
Didn't see it that way.
The only other additional note that I had as far as a point of comparison was like because she doesn't get her training montage until the end of the film, I was just kind of reminded of Rey from Star Wars, kind of the poster child for Mary Sue's, and how she finally got training in the 9th movie.
Yeah,
when she was already beating everybody.
Which she'd already beaten Kylo Ren twice.
well, who trained Kylo?
Only the greatest Jedi Master, supposedly.
Supposedly, greatest Jedi Master to kill him in his sleep. A point, I guess. When Shen way back now, when Shen's in prison and is telling Poe about Chameleon, and is like, "I'm in the know. I know about this, and all the things that occur, like what's going on in Juniper City," and Poe's like oblivious to anything. It then goes to Lee and Ping in their restaurant, and all the villagers are talking about the Chameleon. How the heck did that word of mouth spread?
The geese guards would be my guess, because they were also at the restaurant.
Yeah, my only guess is that the palace guards come to eat there. They suck at their job. What else are they going to do? They just let people come in and destroy the temple all the time.
So the guards from the prison went there, spread word, went to the... Okay.
Yeah, that's how I saw it when I watched it.
Because I was curious, I'm like, who in this village of peace is in the know?
Yeah.
The guards overheard the talk and just blabbermouthed.
Okay.
Once again, really like Lee and Ping. I like that Lee is hiding the fact that he's just as nervous as Ping is.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty decent at building up a front, as we see through this. He fakes a lot. Yeah. Fakes being tough.
Tough guy. This the easy way or the hard way where you're wounded.
Oh, man. Oh, I got a nick for Shifu, everybody, if you want to listen to this one quickly.
What?
I know. Shen handcuffed him.
I know. I know. Teleported, really, because it wasn't physically possible.
It's true, exactly.
Was not physically possible.
Yeah, it happened.
Which was my issue with the thieving at the palace. Sorry.
I agree. Yeah, it's just if anybody in this universe wouldn't get handcuffed by Shen, the greatest thief of all time, it would have been Shifu.
Yeah. With how he can actually teleport.
Yeah.
All right, that goes with you having a character prop.
That's something he does.
Yeah.
Prop themselves up with a legacy character.
Yeah.
She is now more impressive for having done that to Shifu.
All right. Oh, God.
Real disrespect onto Shifu in this movie.
Oh, yeah. They disrespect everybody in this movie. So,
do they disrespect Shen? Or Zhen? The fox?
The fox? No.
Nothing to disrespect.
Yeah, she's perfect in every way.
No legacy to crumble. But maybe Kung Fu Panda 5, maybe she can get damaged, I guess. See.
Speaking about, a lot of bashing. I'll go to a praise about another transition I liked after the meeting of Chameleon with like all the, I don't know, cartel or whatever, the mafia leaders of the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mob. It goes to her eyes and transitions her silhouette onto the bamboo forest that Poe and Shen are in. Mm-hmm. I did like that.
Yeah, that was a good transition. I also like that. It's very artistic. On the mob scene, very unfortunate for this movie that I happened to rewatch another movie with a very iconic mob scene to compare it to.
Uh-huh. I
um,
didn't see the chameleon make a pencil disappear.
that's true. She did it. But it's not good.
It
So
goes into a question, which could just be she's power hungry, which it goes into, stealing the chi and life. And what is the money for that she's collecting?
Well, she
I
wants to expand her empire, and you need money for that.
So she's just dragon hoarding it.
That is my takeaway.
Because they
That's all I got.
bring like wheelbarrows of it, and she goes, "Oh, I need more than this." For what?
Her world domination scheme. That's all I got.
Okay, so it's just power.
Yeah, I don't think they said it much other than that, really.
Because there was nothing of like a scene or something where she's using the gold to pay for like the blacksmiths to make the cages or anything.
No, and you wouldn't need that much either
Yeah.
for that. Especially if you run by fear, which she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So-
that was also cool. Her shifting into the elephant, a little slow but intimidating.
Yeah, I think it's too slow.
So
Mo-
you first.
I was just gonna say I didn't like the mob at all. I think they did the thing Ryder pointed out where they went with the comedy route instead of a serious tone for the audience of kids, because they were just jokes. They were not. They're mob bosses. They're supposed to be gritty, cool, scary, but they're just crying little babies.
And they've
I do like the little thing.
Evidently, they've been loyal to her for a while, so it's very weird that they're having second thoughts now. It's very convenient that they're having second thoughts now, or even
It
contemplating.
would help if they
While
see.
she's at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would help if they brought up a change. Like they're like, "Oh, we noticed this is happening," which is causing their second thoughts.
Yeah,
But
like
they
they
don't
could
do
be
that.
talking about like, hey, like we're having issues keeping the city under control. Like that's their job. So, all right. Well, for the audience, the scene I unfortunately compared this to, or this film had the unfortunate reality of being compared to. I compared this to the Joker's interaction with the mob from The Dark Knight. And the reason that works really well to the intro as a character for the Joker is the mob has been propped up as the main antagonist of that film thus far. Batman and Harvey Dent and the police are shown to be squeezing Gotham's crime gangs to the brink. And the Joker has risen as a direct response to that almost, right? And the point of that scene is to introduce the mob to the idea that the Joker is their answer. And of course, the like in the stakes of that world, it is the whole scene is pretty much flipping the stakes and the importance of money on its head. That's one of the important things about the film, that the Joker doesn't care about the money. So he's able to put the entire mob in their place in one scene, even if the heroes don't fully grasp the threat of what's going on. And I'm comparing that to this scene, and I'm wondering kind of what the point of it is as an introduction to the Chameleon's character. Because from what we understand what's going on, she doesn't need to swindle the criminals into doing something that she's already been doing. She doesn't really twist anyone's words. She doesn't make like a demonstration, unless we call pushing somebody down some stairs as a demonstration. And if that is a demonstration like of power or intimidation of like, yeah, you thought you were going to rebel, you're funny. It's kind of lame. And we don't really get any clear objectives from the Chameleon in this instance, because one of the things the other scene in the Batman accomplishes is that we get the Joker's objective pretty much from the outset about killing the Batman. And here they're keeping her objective a secret to be revealed later, I guess. But she doesn't even lie about the objective. She's just doesn't give an explanation at all. And the things that should be coming up as threatening in the scene come off as laughable because she's just demanding more taxes. And
I think
that, yeah, the last bit I have to add is just, she heard them expressing their distaste and dislike for her. Why not use that to her advantage in the scene? Like, make her Have her make an example because she heard them talking about her badly. Like that would increase, I think, the scene's importance to the film.
Well, what happened to the crocodile guy?
Oh, he just.
He, he's probably dead.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
probably dead.
All they have to do is reference that.
Yeah.
Like you know,
What you do with blah blah blah?
Yeah, exactly. That's all you have to do. Is like, what did you do with him? He's like, oh, he actually tried to rebel or something to that effect. You don't even have to show anything.
It was out of line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick little line, boom. A bit more serious of a character.
That's
I think this is just to establish her standing, her place. Okay, she got control of the criminal underground. She's got power. That's all I get from this scene.
Yeah, and for me, that's very superfluous. Like I think
It's not huge.
Yeah, the scene is it doesn't do a lot in for her character. When this is like her main introduction scene, this scene needs to do a much more than that. We need to get hints of her motivation. We need to get how she's intimidating to the mob. We need to get how she keeps people in line. We need to get the importance of like, I guess, the tax increase and why everyone feels so strained under it. So there's a lot more that they could be done with the scene. Is pretty much my point.
I agree more could be done with the scene. I'm 50-50 flip-flopping on what you're saying is needed of the scene. I think she has enough intimidation to go. I think a fear that they definitely should have played more with the movie is she can be anyone and blend in anywhere of the fear, and like her eyes are everywhere. And they do that with her being the alligator. Yeah. But they do that with her being the alligator, so she is there listening, which goes into them like, oh, she can be anyone, anywhere, to kind of like keep them in a fear check. And I'm like, okay, I guess that shows her intimidation factor onto the mob. But the secretive of like why she needs the money or anything, I'm like, it could be explained later. We just kind of know her needs, but not goals right now. So I was okay with it. Definitely, it was weak, but I think of an introduction for this character is okay.
I do like the detail that she took the Gator's form because of the scales, because she can turn into anything, but she still has the scale aesthetic.
Yeah, so the Gator helps her with that. I did like that.
Tylon at the beginning.
Huh?
When she's Tylon at the beginning of the movie, she's not scaly.
Yeah, she is.
At the first,
that's scary.
Yeah, the first shot of her, she isn't, but every shot after that, she is.
Yeah, you can see the like spines on his cheeks. He's scale Tai Lung, and it was kind of hard to see, but when she took on Shen's form, that was also scaly, but they go by really quick, so you can't be like, okay, that's obviously
popped up feathers in the back.
Yeah. So I did like the idea of picking the scaly creature to eavesdrop in, so you're 100% undetected.
Yeah.
But we did kind of touch on a point with the chameleon that I was going to bring up of wasted potential of this character.
So much.
By the way, I just checked. You are absolutely right. That is scaly Tylon.
Yeah.
I really thought he was more furry than that, but no, there's like no hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the wasted potential of chameleon. I was just like, why did they reveal the chameleon so quickly? The whole movie could have been figuring out who the chameleon is or something. But instead of the twist of who's the chameleon, the twist was Shen being the traitor. That they decided to have that be the twist of the film. We find out so quickly the chameleon is a shapeshifter and it's not a mystery thing.
I think that's still okay. They just need to play with it more.
Well, they didn't play with it at all. That's the problem.
Yeah,
they played it with that introduction scene. That's it.
That's nothing. There's no there's no grand connection.
There's no when
anything.
The bulls are trying to find Poe and Zhen from the wanted posters. Like Chameleon is one of those bulls, or like a cool Easter egg, like in the background. Like, can you see the scaly one?
Yeah, I don't. It's just you have a main antagonist be a shapeshifter and you don't use it.
Except for the last fight, which then kind of just connects it to Chip and Dale.
It just turns into an ability for combat, not something for their deception, which is what it should be.
Especially since she she raised Shen, who's a pickpocket like thief of the underground, like being a real secretive person. Did she not need like information and do that herself? For probably.
The only deception we get is when she takes the form of Shen and kicks Poe off the roof. That's the only time that's really utilized, and it's very quick. It's just
Or
waste.
or the other time where what was it? There's two Poes and Shen's confused. Is that a thing?
Shen wasn't confused.
Oh,
Um,
And scale Poe is way easy to decipher on standard Poe.
yeah, I agree. They absolutely should have played around with the ability a lot more.
yeah, a little lackluster. I haven't a clue whose point was the last one, so let's go with Crimson.
Okay. Let's go to the bunny bar. What was it called? Bunny. I don't know where
Oh,
this.
The Bunny
the
Tavern.
Happy Bunny Tavern, much like
Bunny
the Snuggly Duckling.
Yeah. The bunny tavern. The pig lady, the owner, got tricked, and she Poe English. All right. Poe screwed it up for Shen by revealing the tiles from the tail, and the pig lady's like, "No one can grift me." I'm like, "She did. She would have gotten away with it. She would have absolutely. But you're stupid."
If Poe didn't
I
just
don't know.
tap her or something.
Yeah, it's the save face. I don't have an objective issue with it, but I just kind of find it stupid from that character who's supposed to be intelligent.
Yeah, it's weird. The fight in the tavern itself, um, I like I like Poe's dynamic because Poe is not like stressed out about the fight at any point. I like that he just steps to the side to throw people off. It's a subtle way to show his skill level, which I appreciate. Like some guys waving swords at him, he just takes a step and the whole tavern leans one way. He's just using he's using himself to his best advantage, which I enjoyed.
I like the show somewhat of Poe being more mature in this fight, where he's not just like, "Oh yeah, kung fu, wow," and
He's
just
not
like
just
beating up
rushing
people.
in.
Yeah, he's actually being very like passive and just being like, "Hey, let's not like really defensive." And then everything Shen's pickpocketing, he's putting back. He's like, "Hey, we just need information," kind of thing. And I'm like, that's certainly a change in Poe, which I think is for the better, at least for this
Yeah,
single scene.
that's a growth that makes sense to me as a character.
Yeah. I also like the choreography of this fight in such a small contained area and how they're using the stairs and the walls and the furniture.
And yeah, Poe's using his weight. I like the choreography of the fight too. I think for the most part.
Yeah, I just wrote obligated fight scene in my notes for it. It just kind of felt like we need a fight scene at this point, so let's throw in a fight scene. As a fight scene, I'm with you guys. I think it was a decent one, but it just felt like we need a fight scene. So
We need a
let's
fight
throw
scene
it
to
in
have
here.
a fight scene. Yeah, it definitely comes across as that because it's Shen forcing Poe's hand.
Yeah.
And I think a joke they could have done, at least I think it would be kind of amusing, is when he's dishing back all the money, he finds his own coin bag.
That would be funny. Yeah. I was like, oh, there it is. I was looking for that. Just looks at her, Shen.
Yeah. We're talking about how time and geography is all over the place. There's a part where I think after the meeting that we talked about of Chameleon saying waiting for the blood moon or the day of the blood moon, and it's going to occur in 2 days, I think.
Yeah.
It then goes to Lee trying to leave to find Poe without pain. And Lee says, "Oh, I'm getting up early to watch the blood moon." Is that showing a whole day time jump, or is that showing Lee's lack of intelligence that he's a day early?
Sprinks, thank you so much for making this worse for me. Thank you so much. You have made it definitively a problem and not just a gray area for me. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Because one of my issues,
Because I couldn't tell it was
as I stated
one
earlier,
of those two things.
How do they? How have they
Because if
not
it's
heard of the Dragon Warrior if they're only 2 days away?
Exactly. That's huge. That's a huge thing. How has Poe never heard of this city? How have they not heard of this Dragon Warrior? Uh,
that shows geography. Dude, it's at least
Oh,
a
yeah,
2-day journey.
I love
ooh,
that you didn't even realize it. You
that's
definitively
I was
made
going
it
with
bad.
Lee.
Yeah, you fixed our problem by making it definitively a problem now. That's awesome. Thank you.
ooh,
Oh, gosh, I can write that in my my review notes now. All right, thank you.
that's
Ah,
not good.
Yeah, 2 to 1
it's
day.
brought up.
If you're going with he's dumb thinking he's a day off, even if it's 2 days, it's a problem for everything. So
Well, then it's
awesome.
weird. Yeah, because then it's weird that they skipped a whole coverage of a day that they chose not to show anything. To then just go to the morning of the blood moon.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily
But
have
it
to
can't
mean
be the
he's
morning.
a day early. It's like he knows it's a 2 day walk, so he gets up early to be there on time for the blood moon.
Is there another
Uh,
night cycle in there? There is, right?
is that when they're in the underground?
Best
With the,
assumption is that
they sleep.
they stayed there for the night or waited until
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, they
Is the
slept at the
tavern-
underground thing.
Okay, yeah. So then that's Lee being dumb. He's like, "Oh, I need an extra 24 hours to see the blood moon, which is the next night and not the night that morning."
Oh,
You can see it as dumb, or he's just prepping, knowing the journey.
Or he's just nervous trying to light a pain.
Or
Which
that.
unfortunately goes into the dynamic of being good and now he's lying.
The interpretation of that is a bit more gray, but I'm so happy you pinned down a geography thing. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I don't really have any more notes for this act.
All right, good. Crimson, how many more questions do you have?
I need to read them. I think I am running on the lower side. You
Okay.
said you had a page 2, right? So maybe
I
you
did.
had something.
The captain being the fish in the pelican. Again, pelican doesn't have a voice. Weird. But the fish, I think, I'm like, oh, okay, cool little thing. Like a little character connection of these two characters. The pelican drinks something at the tavern. So is the fish just swimming around in booze?
Is it booze? Because this is a kids show
I don't know.
or a kids movie.
I don't think he had water.
No idea.
It's hard to say, really. I don't know.
I think it was in this scene actually that I realized that. Okay, my last note. I found a note. I realized that it was at this point that Poe is going to be the one to teach Shen how to be a good person, whether or not she was the traitor, which I'm fine with in concept, but all they have is the cookie bit to kind of show her growth, I guess, and warming up to Poe. Like, Poe, like, showing her how to help people or something with her skills would be something awesome to see.
Yeah.
Like, what if
How to
she?
use
What
the
if she
tunnel
could?
network?
Yeah, like, what if she tries to contribute to helping save civilians in this scene and is not good at it, but the fact that she saves one makes her happy, and then she learns her lesson, and then she starts to think about, maybe
That would help because her reputation in the city is very interesting to me.
I'm glad you're
'Cause she
touching
has-
on this.
She has wanted posters everywhere, but then she's walking by civilians just being like, hey, and they're like, hey, Shen, hey, how you doing? Hey. And then she's walking by and there's like all these posters that some pig's putting up on a wall, and she's just like giving them finger guns. Like, do these people not care what they're doing? Or
that brings up
there's
an
no
issue I have.
reward?
Well, we can get to that world building in the next act if we want.
Well, so we're talking about posters. I mean, we know that she is allies with the Chameleon, who's kind of in charge of this place. Why are there wanted posters? And your point of everyone's
That's a good
friendly
pitch,
towards her
too.
proves it even more.
Is that just a really weird way to give like a psychological ploy onto Poe about Zhen's character? Like, this is Chameleon's choice to do that? Or does the underground people that Shen grew up with not know she's working with the Chameleon?
Even though she was taken publicly by the
Taken
Chameleon.
by the Chameleon.
By the Chameleon?
This is why I'm pretty sure they're mad at her, because she left them for the Chameleon.
Well, the underground people are mad at her, I guess.
Yeah, they're mad at her. I just think that was an error on their part to keep up the facade that she's not with the Chameleon.
that the whole town's aware of.
Yeah. So, error with that. What did I have? The end of the brawl, they're hanging off and about to drop onto the boat, whatever. Pretty strong of Shen to hold Poe, a notoriously heavy character.
Wow.
But
Also,
That's
it's pretty
really
nice
funny
of
to
Shen,
say.
this wonderful character who has no dubious motives at all to save our hero.
Well,
was
that
she
kind of
holding
goes
the staff,
into,
or was he holding the staff there?
he was holding the staff.
He was holding it. Okay, didn't remember. And with the staff at the
very
brawl, I thought it was overkill using the dragon staff thing.
Oh, well, a tat, yeah. I'm just glad no doorbells or not doorknobs exploded or fridge is falling over. Anything
Yep.
like that.
Series of unfortunate events for.
Hey, that was a reference going out to people, but okay.
Sorry, I heard the fridge bit, and I'm the only infamous fridge that I know is the one from a movie that doesn't exist called The Crystal Skull, and
Never heard of it. Okay. Anything else of Act 1? Even though Act 1 leaked into the whole movie, but
we had a lot of character shit to talk about. Yeah,
There were some overarching points to be made. Yeah. I think I'm good for now. I might find something later.
all right, Act 2. I'll begin with just going off of Crimson here. My first note in Act 2 is, wow, it's crazy that Ping was able to hold Lee's entire weight on the steps.
it's lucky that he didn't die from the fall.
That was only
Yeah,
like
that was.
12 feet. Come on.
I think that was a fine little comedic thing with the fog.
Yeah, it's
It was okay.
My thing with the community thing for the fog is like whenever the film tries to fake you out like that, you really need to you need to make it worthwhile.
Is it interesting
Yeah.
how the fog dissipated once he
Yeah,
was
Oh
on
yeah,
the ground?
he's
yeah.
fine,
It's
he's
a
fine,
very
fog's gone.
it's a movie moment. And
They should have done it with the classic like water thing. Like I'm drowning, stand up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, if he just stood up in the fog, that would have been way better.
I think it would have been a little bit better if I were to do this joke. I think it would be better if Ping was just playing a prank on Lee for the fun of it. Like he could see the bottom, but he was just messing with Lee, or vice versa. Lee was just messing with Ping. Where
It would have to be Lee because Lee's the one who fell.
no, I
I
mean,
also think they're both stupid.
yeah,
No,
Because
well,
they
that-
walked that high up, so they know how high they are.
I know, but I think it would still be funny if they were playing the prank of it. I guess on each other. It's not a great. I appreciate their dynamic. I think the joke was a little much.
It was also really fast. Maybe just been me. It was a really fast scene. I think just to show where these two are.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
And that is the purpose, just to show that they're on their way.
It's much like the bamboo part before the tavern of Poe and Zhen just in the bamboo, and then it cuts.
Just to establish
Yeah.
things are happening.
Where they're happening, couldn't tell you. But
And then we have Zhen splitting the cookie herself this time in the next scene on the boat. And my question in my notes was like, did I miss development?
Yeah.
He's growing on her, he's an honest kung fu master. She's never seen that before. That's what she said.
Only 2 days away from the Valley of Peace, and she's never seen a kung fu master. That's kind of impressive.
Oh yeah.
And honest.
Remember, Valley of Peace and beyond. Don't know what beyond is, or what direction beyond's in.
Everywhere. Yeah. All of China, because that was Shang's objective in the second.
Yeah. I guess going with the cookie thing, I really like the art style of Shen's backstory, like the flashback thing with the angled cuts of lighting being different parts in time.
Oh, I wasn't a fan.
There was also a part where there was a voice acting bit that they played in that I quite liked too, how it would transition from one thing to the next. I don't remember the exact part of it though.
Yeah, I just found it as kind of lackluster compared to what we've had in the previous films.
It's the least
Artistic flair, as I'll
Yeah,
call it.
it
I
has
guess.
the least artistic flair of flashbacks and montages, I think, so far in the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I just pulled it up to look at it. It's very short, but I like that detail. Let's go to writer.
All right. I let's see. Chameleon gets a tribute, not enough. Asks for more, and I'm left wondering how did she run a city for this long? Um,
Yeah, and again, what is the more for?
I don't.
What's it do?
Yeah, it would be something like if she was because I need a direct answer right from the movie because I can't just be inferring what she's using the money for. Like I can infer she's stocking up on war funds when she goes out to conquer the world or whatever. But it's
It also doesn't get answered.
it doesn't
We
get
don't see
answered.
like at the end of the movie like, oh, a huge room full of gold or anything like that they
Yeah.
give back to the people or anything.
What is it like? She's taxing people 70% now, 60%. She said
Yeah,
there's
it
a
was
line
50
about
and
it.
it went up to 60.
Yeah. The writers don't know how taxes work, which is fair. This is still an improvement upon Rings of Power's understanding of how taxes work, but get better.
It kind of reminds me of Ruby stealing all the dust, and then that goes nowhere. That storyline.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Kind of similar.
That'd be Ruby with a W.
Yes.
That is true. Gotta specify.
I don't know.
these days.
People could think like Ruby something else.
I don't know another show called Ruby, but there could be one.
Hey, Ruby
There could be a
Rose
movie
from
called Ruby. I don't know.
Batwoman is very famous.
Yes.
Um,
Problem I had was Poe getting a vision, and I think the third one did, right? But I can't remember what it was. I just remember that there was a vision, and I remember complaining about it. But I don't remember what the vision was. Do either of you remember what that is?
in the third movie? Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I
Don't
I
remember.
remember complaining about it,
I
but
mean,
I don't remember what it was.
I'm gonna check my notes for Kung Fu Panda 3. Give me a second.
That's fine.
Ooh, smart.
But
Yeah,
I
don't
didn't like it in
recall.
here because obviously it's just so contrived. It pushes the plot. It demands Chameleon saying the entire plan out loud to herself in a vision.
Yeah. I do like when he wakes up and he goes, I had a vision, and Shen goes, that's called a dream. I thought
Yeah,
that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was a little
Yeah.
funny. I agree.
But yeah, it was just Chameleon talking to herself about her plan. That's
Which
lazy.
doesn't necessarily seem like Chameleon's character to do. Because Chameleon
writers
isn't sharing
throwing in-
anything about her plan at all.
Mm-mm.
Unless that's supposed to be, well, no, it's a vision and it occurs later. So it's like in real. It's not like a dream, fictitious in a way of like a meaning of something.
Yeah, it's not. What's the word I'm looking for? Symbolic. It's not symbolic where he has to decipher what it means. It's very
Yeah.
literal.
It's like, oh, this happened. This is going to happen. And in this timeline too. It's not a multiverse thing.
Yeah, true. So, Vision, stupid, sucked. Get it out of there. I think it makes it worse. There you go.
It's too direct. Like if you, because he doesn't know what the chameleon looks like, what would make this more worthwhile is he's dreaming of, like, maybe maybe he's dreaming of her powers or something like that. Something less direct than this would be better.
Well, what if we had a vision of like Oogway telling him about the chameleon or something? It would still be direct, but it'd be something other than the chameleon talking to herself.
That I don't think would be considered a vision then. It would just be like, Oogway talked to me in my sleep, which still probably better. And this might go into something that I brought up multiple times. I don't like that it only happens once. It's just
a new rule?
for that. It's just for this chameleon's plot to come across to the audience and Poe to get an answer to it, and Poe isn't having another vision to something else that either helps him.
Yeah, I mean it's an incredibly lazy writer device. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And not this writer. Writers of the movie.
Thank you. I would like to think I could do a little bit better.
Yeah. Mike Mitchell's creative decision.
Well, did
Go with it.
he
I don't know if he was a
write
writer, but
the scripts? Yeah, I'm like, we don't know how
I
much
don't know if he was a writer of
input he
scripts,
has
but
on
he
that.
was. He had complete creative control.
Mhm.
So he greenlit the scripts. You know what? It's in this act. I'd like to go to one of the most egregious things for me in this movie that
Ooh, I'm
I
excited.
hate. When Lee and Payne are with Poe, and they're in the little, I don't know, gazebo thing, and they're having a talk. And Lee, or no, sorry, not Lee. Payne tells Poe, if things stayed the same forever, sooner or later they would lose the flavor. Which, on its own in this movie, fine message. That's fine. From what's been established and what's come to fore, I absolutely hate that Payne would say that. Because that goes against his whole secret recipe for his noodle soup, which is the whole reason for Poe to be the Dragon Warrior, of understanding that there's nothing, and the nothing is the secret ingredient, which he's had the whole time, which goes in that whole message, because then Payne goes, hey, my soup's not important, when it was the entirety of the first movie.
So, best faith interpretation of this, because I have something really wrong that I don't like about the scene either, and I'll get to it in a second. Best faith interpretation of what you're saying, Sprinks, is Poe imparted that lesson onto Ping just by proximity of her son changing. I agree that's not been shown in the films. That's just best faith interpretation of like what's
Because then that's implying that Payne changed his secret recipe. Which, even if no ingredient or like nothing added is the secret ingredient to the secret recipe, that's okay. But changing any other ingredient is going to change it. Which then makes whatever you're adding or taking away being the secret ingredient.
what I don't like about this scene is that this is a lesson that Poe's already learned.
Of not changing?
Yeah, about change.
I suppose so. Yeah, not as
That-
direct, but like overall, of course, as an adventure in the previous three movies, yeah.
Yeah, this is a lesson he's already learned, as far as I'm concerned. He's learned that change is okay. His whole point of becoming the Dragon Warrior was trying to change not who he is, but just changing in general to grow as a character. So I don't like that how simplistic this message is supposed to be, because this is supposed to lead to him accepting Shen as his student, and
Yeah, to pass down the Dragon Warrior.
yeah, when
via the
this
voice
is
of his dad, via the voice of the writers of the movie.
yeah. And but this is again, this is a lesson he would have already learned over the course of his journey. Like this is something he learned from Tigress. He learned this when he realized his dad was still alive. Like the goose wasn't his dad. That change is just a natural effect of what's going on as far as his character is concerned. So for me, the reason I take more issue with this than his previous important lessons is because even if Kung Fu Panda 2 is hammering its lesson home about inner peace, it's something he still had to learn, you know? Whereas this is something he already did learn.
Yeah.
It could be, if it was one thing of like, again, if his task wasn't to change himself, but rather to find an apprentice, the lesson could be about mentorship. How do you be a good mentor? That could easily be a lesson a father can impart onto a son, because that's a lot of what are the lessons you've learned from your parents? I'm sure plenty good, plenty bad, but you still try to pass on the good lesson, you know. So there is a basic message they could have done with what they have, but they go with this, and that I don't know, didn't sit well with me.
I didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
In fact, I hated it.
Weak sauce.
yeah, it's not good.
Weak noodles.
Weak noodles, I like that.
Needed an udon scene, and you know what we got? Sloppy ramen.
All right, let's not bash ramen too much. Okay.
I'm just going with the strength of noodles.
Extra firm. I think I guess it was funny. I found this pretty comical, but again, it's one of those you're sacrificing character and world building for the sake of joke that the captain just crashes into the dock.
Yeah. Well, in one way, he's not looking where he's going, but the captain's not steering the boat.
The Pelican's his mom. I'm not going to question it. It's pretty funny, but I think that and Lee and Ping are probably my favorite jokes out of best laughs out of me, I guess, because I did laugh a few times.
Okay. So we touched on it a little bit on the motivations of the chameleon and how she's too small to be a kung fu master or whatever. At least that was one of the elements.
One
And
of the
I just wrote,
excuses,
let's see. We got Mantis, we got Chipmunk, we got the Rat Army Master from last time.
We got Chicken.
Chicken's a little bit bigger, but yeah, Chicken is small comparatively to a lot. So I was just like face palming. I was like, that is the origin.
Yeah,
she can't do kung fu because she's too small.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But
dumb.
we have several representations of smaller kung fu masters.
Yeah, she might be as tall as Monkey.
Yeah, that's probably pretty close.
Yeah, it's a problem because her motivation is senseless within the context of the world building.
Especially for a 2-day difference in time, so it's not like she tried everywhere.
Yeah,
because Valley of Peace accepts it.
Yeah, I don't know why she didn't go just the 2 days to the Valley of Peace instead of going to every other temple in China. I mean, they would have just.
I don't know why she didn't. I mean, she did self-teach herself to then teach Shen. So I really I don't know. It's so pathetic.
Everything is nonsensical.
I agree.
Because what they should have done if her goal was, I need to learn all the kung fu masters because I was rejected it and I'm incapable of doing so myself for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe she could have been physically disabled or hindered by a past injury or something. But she's a shapeshifter, so that wouldn't work. I don't know. It's just stupid. I don't know what's so bad.
It would have been a cool lesson if it showed backstory of her trying to do it, and to be better, she's shaping into other things. And those masters are saying, no, you need to be yourself. You can't copy. And it's like lesson after lesson with different masters, like, no, you need to be yourself. And she goes, you can't be yourself when not accepted. And that's what she's teaching Shen, which then goes into why she's backstabbing Poe and his traitor, because it's like not being yourself.
It would also go into second thoughts because Poe has accepted her for who she is.
Yeah, and then Poe goes, hey, I'm not going to help you fight this last bit. Be who you are.
Yeah, that's such
a stronger message.
Such an easier character arc to write that they fucked up.
You made that so much better.
I know, right? There's a lot of that here.
You know what? I think I'm getting it. I think I get this rewrite thing.
That catching on? Yeah, it's fun.
I think I'm catching on. It's like Pirates, right? It's like a theme.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly cool. That's correct.
Right.
For the audience that is outside of the loop on that joke, go watch episode 0.
Yeah, sorry about the audio of those early stuff. Ooh.
Yeah. And the visual, if you're looking at the visual side.
Go listen to episode 0.
I like in the bull chase scene, like going through the city, the rendition of Crazy Train that plays.
That was so weird. I didn't like that.
Oh no! I thought it was pretty cool.
It just didn't fit in this type of movie to me. I'm like, this. Why is this song being played? Why is a poppy song being played here?
Hey, you know another DreamWorks movie that has Crazy Train? Megamind. Just saying.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. I think the chase sequence, I enjoyed the song, even though I didn't think it fit. I mean the OST, not the pop song.
Pop song.
Sorry, Crazy Train, whatever.
Oh yeah, it's just the
instrumentals.
Yeah.
For like with Asian instruments, I guess. For it.
I like them. I like the song. I just it didn't feel appropriate. I'm kind of on both your teams.
Okay.
This chase scene I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I did like the bull in the china shop joke that they were going for there.
That was funny, even though prior they show these bulls don't care about destroying anything.
No, they don't.
They're wrecking carts. They're mowing over civilians. But the China shop got to be gentle.
Where did they all come from? This army.
Well, Poe and Zhen got a 5-star wanted level.
Yeah. Haven't you
Where did
played
they come from
Assassin's
and where
Creed
did they
before?
go?
Come out of anywhere.
Are they with the Chameleon? Are they against the Chameleon? Is the Chameleon actually the leader of Juniper City, or is she just the head kingpin of the underworld?
It's like the city.
know.
It's like the free city of Bravos. There's just a bunch of people that have power in the city.
Yeah. Her connection to the mob we see, her connection to the law enforcement, haven't a clue.
Yeah, so I think that I don't even know if she rules Juniper City. Or
I-
if she's
I-
just the
I
kingpin
don't-
The
of
bulls
the
are after
Undercity.
Shen because of wanted posters, but Shen works with the Chameleon
Yeah.
in this town, and people are fine with Shen walking around like high-fiving with the wanted posters. So I haven't a clue who these bulls are working for.
I think the law is distinct from the Chameleon, and the reason is because all of the Chameleon's soldiers are like those lizards.
Who I also thought didn't speak until one scene where they start talking.
When they're all groaning on the
Larry.
floor. Yeah.
Larry talking about Kung Fu Warrior falling for a trap and then falling for a trap.
Shut up, Larry.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the bulls are just to distinguish what the law enforcement is in the city compared to. I feels like the city is run by factions, is what it is. So like, there's still a
They need
basic
some world building then for why they aren't.
Absolutely.
They're not an issue anything.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of things that can use some world building patching, and this is one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because other than that, there's no government in this with the Chameleon. There's
No.
nothing.
I got nothing. I think I enjoyed the chase sequence at this most basic surface level that I can enjoy a chase sequence. It's just there's so many questions as to why it's happening, and none of them are answered.
Yeah.
And I hate that that Zhen is really quick on her feet, and Poe is now a clumsy buffoon who can't rooftop hop when that's like the basic thing he could do the past few movies as far as Kung
That's
Fu is
true.
concerned.
He achieved that in the second one. And the second one, we already had that city scene with him in the cart going through
Yeah.
all the alleys. And
Yeah, and he was rooftop hopping with 5.
He
I don't
was
understand.
also rooftop running the third one in the beginning with the Jade,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, the wolves or whatever.
the zombies.
Yeah.
The zombies, yeah.
Yeah. So again, regression unnecessary. But thanks again for making Poe worse. I don't appreciate it. He started out as a really great character.
How come all the lizard guards sleep at the same time?
All right,
Because even the ones in the watchtower are sleeping.
Again,
this is where theory crafting comes in.
yeah.
So if this was all planned for Poe to enter and get trapped, then they were told to let them in. I mean, there was nobody sleeping on the manhole, which was my initial note. So they were able to open it and climb out. No one was sleeping there. So that could have been the ploy, but then why did they wake up at the sound of a fart and try to attack
why then try to kill them as soon as they enter the door?
with the
with traps?
security
Yeah,
system?
killing them is the thing that I want. Because if they woke up to then force or trap Poe to go inside because he couldn't like fight them all, kind of thing, then it's like, oh, okay, good. They made sure to get him inside.
Yeah, and then the security
But-
system tries to kill them, which lucky that it
Yeah.
didn't, I guess, because it would be a shame if he died without giving the staff away as per its rules.
Oh, that would
He's
stink.
the
Yeah.
dragon warrior. They knew he'd make it out.
And Shen's the dragon
Warrior
apprentice.
apprentice.
I saw the scene as a very less funny version of Emperor's New Groove with the Panthers,
I
don't remember.
where they're all sleeping and a loud noise
Oh,
goes
yeah,
off
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
all fine, and then a little noise and they all wake up.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. It's like that. Yeah, and I agree. It's much worse because this involves an intricate plan, not a
Yeah.
not a joke. It was really nice
Also,
to see
the
Ki Kui Kwan.
noises.
That was nice.
One more time, Ryder. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It was nice to see
Talking over.
Kike Kwan. I like the.
Oh
actor.
yeah, it's Han. Yeah. His character's okay.
Out of the movie enough that they couldn't ruin what little they have of him.
Yeah.
Other than he knows some fighting skills, which is fine. They're all in the underground. He might not necessarily need to know kung fu for that.
I was gonna go with the sleeping bit of the lizards. The rule of 3 of the manhole making noise. Was it a creak and then the fart? Like it's a rule of 3 again with humor.
Yep.
Mhm.
I just didn't think it worked that time.
We'll talk about the 2 dead lizard men and how Ping is a murderer. That might be the next part, Ping being a murderer. But we didn't say what Act 2 was. What's the end of Act 2?
End of Act 2 is the cages being carried up. So like right after Lee and Ping and Poe have their little chat and they're looking at the pathway, the stairs, and all the lizards are carrying the cages.
Okay. I guess this isn't the act then. Yeah, Ping is a murderer. He kills the lizard guy.
He was saving his son. I just wish there was a little more like reaction to the fact.
I would have loved to him have some existential crisis of being a killer. He killed somebody. He's just a noodle guy. But no, we don't need to focus on Ping's crisis of killing somebody, I guess.
Yeah.
But would have been nice.
It's for the comedy, you see.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy, as much as it might be a problem, I think on a surface level I do subjectively enjoy the inner Shifus that appear as post consciousness.
Way better than the inner pose.
Yeah, like for him it makes sense that it would be inner Shifus, not inner pose. In the same way that for Shifu it's inner pose and not inner Shifus.
Aren't you guys supposed to disagree with each other? We agree on how disappointing you are, or something like that.
Yeah,
it's funny.
I think I enjoy that.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked the smarts of Poe, at least for this bit. I think it was fine, of doing the Age of Ultron Hulk thing when he's in the cage and he can go through the material in the ground, like go under it. I'm like, that's actually kind of smart.
Yeah, I appreciated that.
And it didn't take him forever to come to that decision.
The only thing I didn't like is he just announcing his plan.
That's true. Wow.
That isn't his character though.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a minor thing. This is a personal preference for me. I would much rather just Poe being his confident, wisecracking self as he looks down and sees that the cage isn't the floor.
Yeah.
Actually, why isn't the cage the floor? Because we see with the other cages, they open from the front.
Do the other cages where the masters are being thrown in, do they have a metal flooring or is it the open ground flooring?
My guess it would be the metal flooring. Then again, I don't know what happens when your chi is stolen from you. So.
Oh, you can't punch through dirt?
I guess not. I don't know.
Rock.
Who knows what the...
That's dumb if you need chi to punch through rock.
Especially...
Well...
It's best I can understand because they don't really see them testing their abilities once their abilities are.
They just give up.
Yeah,
just like Ox and Croc in 2, where they just give up.
Zhen just casually saves Poe's life from an acid tea.
Mm-hmm. Yes, by those vicious critters.
I think we're gonna get into. I'll go to one of my favorite scenes. Ping and Lee at the tower.
Oh. Okay. Sorry to cut it. I just looked it up. The cages along the walls that hold all the masters do have bases.
Okay, cool.
Well, that just makes it convenient that the one they trapped Poe in is the one that's escapable.
Yeah.
Again, so what I like about that is it does show the villain is capable of learning. What I don't like about it is that it's a very obvious flaw.
True, but it was the only way to capture, I guess, the dropped cage on him. Then push him in one.
Yeah, that's fair.
They didn't have to do a drop cage though.
They didn't have no.
It would be. I don't know how you would achieve the same effect without doing a drop
A
cage.
swinging cage where
Also,
the doors open.
was that their ploy to get Poe to give the staff over to Shen?
Yeah, that's what the movie plays it as. Yes.
Okay, so then the base needed to be open for him to find an exit to get out of, so he could pass her for the leverage.
Oh, okay. All right. If that's the full elaborate plan, I guess maybe it's half and half.
What?
It's well, okay. So, all right. Correct me, Sprinks, if I get anything wrong. What Sprinks is suggesting is that the reason there's not a bottom to the cage is because it would be a part of the plan. Because of part of the reason Poe gives the staff to Shen is because they can try to leverage it open because they can get underneath the cage.
Yeah, Poe tries to lift it from the base with Shen, only gets it a little and says, "Take the staff and use it as leverage," which is then him giving the staff to Shen. If that's how the powers of the staff work.
That's so much faith in the intelligence of the villains to think that.
I doesn't fix it for me. I like the explanation because it works in the sense of like leverage. They need to show leverage was an available option.
Yeah, that's a really hard show without any tell whatsoever.
Yeah,
but there's not enough show.
Yeah,
but it's feasible.
Well, it's feasible. He could leverage it from the inside because there's bars. You can poke the back of the stick out the side of it.
Yeah, and try to do it himself.
Yeah, he doesn't need to pass it for the leverage.
Yeah, there's ways to get around that. It's very convenient and lucky that he just happens to give his stuff away still. So it's not it doesn't fix anything, but it's a possible inferring explanation.
And because he used the staff to blow out the floor, probably, or something. He doesn't. I don't like it. I don't like that he has got the special cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like.
I don't know what their other ploy would have been though, for Poe to pass the staff to Zhen when Poe already knows Chameleon's a bad guy.
Yeah. Again, my only aspect of this that I did like is the fact that the future cages have that flaw fixed. I do like that because it just demonstrates the villain is capable of learning. But I think they needed to find a better workaround to make this scene this scene a bit stronger.
Yeah. It's a real toughy one, but it passes.
I don't know if I'd give it a pass, but I get the difficulty of it.
I give it a pass that it works. Like it makes some feasible sense of what they're going for. I don't like the reason if that's the reason how Shen gets the staff, if that was their plan.
Yeah. I don't. It's weird too because I don't know the level of coordination that Shen has with the Chameleon to get the staff after Shen was told the rules, and at no point do we see her like passing off a message to somebody to make a plan with the Chameleon or to kind of coordinate. Hey, we can't get the staff for this reason. We need to plan around this. There's nothing for that.
Yeah, that's an issue I have as well because she could be a good actor, but she looked genuinely unknowing of the passing. Rule. I mean, she was just going to steal it at the temple.
Yeah, which is funny to think about if that she brought it and the staff just doesn't work for the Chameleon.
Oh, that'd be something. If Chameleon got it and it's like doesn't work, it's like throws it away and it's like, oh, it's useless, and then somehow Shen, I don't know. That actually seems a little more complicated.
Yeah. Jumping, I guess, to my favorite scene from this, Ping and Lee going into the tavern. This one was I guess I really like this scene because one, again, it continues their dynamic, but also it shows Lee being smart. For the most part, we're like he pretty much rolled a nat 20 on his intimidation stat, on his intimidation roll.
A bit. I mean, they're all beat up and weakened anyhow.
Yeah, he's like, I taught him everything he knows except for one thing. Mercy. I don't know where he gets it from. I don't know. There was something about that tickled me. I really love that scene. I don't like him, like, overdoing it, where he's like breaking his own teeth or something like that. I don't like that he overdoes it, but I do like that once he realizes, like Poe, he can just use his weight to his advantages. He does.
I don't like that there's still people there.
Could be their only home. I don't like that when Poe and Jen are there, the rabbit's in the broth, and it's just the joke of the pig being like, keep stirring, and the rabbit's actually in the broth cooking it, and then to get pain, they're gonna put him in the broth. I'm like, but that wouldn't burn him then.
Yeah, they're not showing that it would burn him, which is dumb.
But yeah, the little facade and charade Lee pulls on, I think is pretty funny.
One of my
Also, the
favorites.
intimidation factor of him walking around, and I don't think he knows his weight is a problem.
He doesn't
walking
realize it
around.
until everyone starts shifting themselves, and you can see him smile as he realizes that his weight is a problem for them.
Yeah.
So it's something he figures out in the scene, which I like. And I think it was this scene.
Wow.
I think it was
learning.
Yeah, I think it was this scene that sold me. I actually would like to see a buddy cop style movie with Lee and Pig.
Ooh, be careful what you wish for.
I know.
Apple Dumpling Gang, rise again.
Yeah, Apple Dumpling Gang situation.
Yeah.
Anyone have anything else for this act? Because I'm actually fresh out of notes.
I was also going to say that.
Into this act.
I will skim.
So Crimson said you're out?
Yeah, from what I can tell.
The peach
guess.
seed.
Okay. I literally looked at my notes and I'm like, the last thing is the peach pit.
Yeah, the peach pit. In that case, you go first, Springs.
Zen's the peach pit. Cool.
Be the pit.
It's not some like, ooh, maybe thought thing or like Poe thinking it over. It's really like, here's my peach pit. Done.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, straight on, very easy.
That changed her as a character, that peach pit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, are you sure you want to go through with this?
Believe, yes.
Oh, are you sure?
Also, the peach pit at the end of the movie, there's 2 trees.
Yep.
So one's definitely the peach pit Shen got. What's the other one?
The other one would be the one that Uwe planted. Remember at the beginning of Kung Fu Panda 1?
Yeah.
That's his example.
You're right.
Maintaining continuity.
I know. They're very picky about it, but I'm happy they do it sometimes.
No, actually. Sorry, the whole inner piece with Shifu and Poe when they're at the tree. Is that other tree there?
Like I said, they do it sometimes.
Do we see the ground?
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay, you know what? It is there. Just check.
There you go. I don't know if it was there in the third one, but
that I couldn't tell. I don't know. But it's a detail caught in this one.
Yeah. Let's see. I think it's lucky that Kike Kwan's character, what's his name, Springs? You mentioned it?
Han.
Okay.
Han.
Yep. H-A-N.
Yeah.
Han Solo.
Yeah.
Oh, nope.
Hey, Kike Kwan loves working with Harrison Ford. Han is I guess it's very lucky that Han is letting them stay for as little, just to let the crowd that's searching for them die down first before they go out and do their last mission attempt. Another joke that worked for me is the pelican, the fish going like, "Why are they walking away?" You said yes. You've seen that one got me a little bit. And question: was anybody actually surprised that Zhen was working for the Chameleon?
No.
Partially.
How can you partially?
I had a suspicion there was more to Shen than what was going on, like who Shen was working with when stealing at the beginning and wasn't by herself. I'm like, she's in partner with someone. I didn't know who that was. So being Chameleon, I went, oh, okay.
Okay.
But I didn't know
realized,
being Chameleon.
I realized when she said, you're an actual kind master or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Her master was the chameleon.
Yeah. My first suspicion when she was talking about her backstory and she's vague about who lifted her up and saved her. And then my confirmation was also the same as yours, Crimson. I was like, oh, yeah, she's evil. Evil in quotes.
Dokie doke. Anything else for Act 2?
I'm skimming.
Yeah, my last one, back to Chameleon, because I seem to have a lot of issues with the Chameleon.
What?
Dimitri.
Is it within her character to not learn more kung fu naturally, opposed to just stealing it from the masters?
I don't know. They needed to have more backstory on that.
I needed
think
actual
of her
character
being
from the
failed.
Chameleon in order to infer that. Because it's
Fair
kind of
enough. I
implied
don't
that
know.
she's a sense of royalty or whatever. But if she had like to claw her way up to her position of power, I would then agree that yeah, it would be.
All we
more
know is that she
prudence
took
her
care of
to-
alligator somehow, or crocodile, whatever that is.
Oh, at the mob table?
That's some kind of rise in power because she took care of that one. But that, again, don't know how,
Yeah, but like if it was a
or
like,
if that's connected in
if
any
she
way.
was more of a character that had to claw her way into power, like bit by bit, I would then think that would be a problem because she would have gone out of her way to do all this on her, learn more on her own without having to resort to this.
Well,
But
she
Maybe,
did have
but
to
then it
teach
would
herself
explain
kung fu to
more.
teach Shen.
It would explain more how she's power hungry if she just constantly keeps wanting power.
Yeah. I think my last note is outside of the funny, like, oh, that's frustrating for a lot of reasons once Poe escapes. That's a very, very smoke-filled room. But again, I understand it's for probably animation budget. But I like that we still get a semblance of kung fu, like through Poe's silhouette and being able to defend himself from being in that smoky-filled room.
Oh, underground.
Yeah, once he gets through the cage. Because one of my biggest issues with Kung Fu Panda 3 is that it was just a CGI boss fight and not kung fu based.
Yeah, there's a big dragon General Kai around.
Yeah, and I was.
Yeah, we talked about that, and I didn't like the camera angles in that. I remember talking. I thought it would be cool if it was under the ice look, and it was very dull.
Yeah. That is my last notes. I got nothing left to say about this act, other than the lesson that Ping is imparting onto Poe is very stupid.
All right.
Just wanted to reiterate that some more.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta reiterate that.
So then in Act 3, which is going from pretty much the Zhen and Chameleon have their chat on the stairs to the end of the film. Let us start with Crimson.
All right. So let's talk about Kai,
General
General
Kai,
Kai?
who?
antagonist of the third film,
Okay.
whose soul was destroyed in the soul realm, spirit realm.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's what it's called, right? Spirit realm.
Right.
Shadow realm. So how does he have a soul if his soul got destroyed?
No fucking clue. I got another one for you. Why is Shen?
Okay.
Why is Shen considered a kung fu master that needs to be stolen from?
That's
A part of the point
yeah.
of that character is that he's not a kung fu master and resorted to gunpowder.
true,
you're right.
but he does have moves he fights against Poe. More so than just like the manipulation or PTSD of the symbol on his tail feathers.
Yeah, he's not unskilled. Like he has
he's
kung
got
fu skills, but
moves.
it's not like
But he's not a kung fu master.
Well,
No.
yeah.
It comes down to what's the spirit realm? Is
I
spirit
don't
realm
think
just
it's
where
just
you go
master.
on after death, or is that where masters go?
I think it's just after death.
I have to go with after death because I don't know. Actually, it's a wrong answer either way. There's inconsistencies with that question.
My problem with Shen is that he fucking bows to Poe. There's absolutely no way he would ever bow to Poe.
Him and Kai, I felt
Kai-
both. I didn't.
I can see a little because Kai's about like the skill and the power, and Poe demonstrated that, so I can see it as like, okay, I'm impressed.
And if I'm going to be,
Tai Lung, after all this time, I can see Tai Lung in a mental state of being like, all right, Poe,
yeah,
I misjudged you. Shen,
see,
absolutely not.
yeah, I can see Tai Lung in a way he found inner peace for himself after he was defeated. That's kind of what I see for him. That's my best faith interpretation for everybody there, is that they all found inner peace in the afterlife, and that's why everybody bows. And I'm not sure Shen is capable of that with his characterization in
No.
the first one.
With who Shen is portrayed as, and that General Kai and Oogway in the spirit realm we've shown in the beginning of the third movie, that they're just them and they're not like peaceful, like, oh, buddy buddy kind of thing. That means Shen is Shen himself in the spirit realm and not a changed person. No.
Yeah.
He would never bow to a panda.
Yeah, I don't want to discount the possibility because of how the spirit world functions. I think you would be capable of changing yourself in the spirit world, but I don't see Shen remotely anywhere near going on that pathway. Like Tai Lung can live to regret his choices because of what happened, because Tai Lung had enough going for his character, in the sense of he did have regrets while fighting Shifu. He did have regrets towards the end of the fight with Poe when he realized that he wasn't the chosen one. So there's a level of acceptance that could lead to inner peace for him. I don't see that with Shen at all.
Agreed.
Who knows? Maybe Oogway got to him in the spirit realm.
Yeah, and that's why he's there. That's why he's there in the lineup with all the masters. I can see that. Oh, wait.
General Kai got to Oogway, and we saw how that happened at the beginning of the third movie.
Yeah. And can I point out how annoying it is to me, at least, that the spirit realm has just been this battery used in 2 movies?
Yeah, just a gateway. What I didn't get is that now that since Poe always had the ability to just open the spirit realm himself, which is how he gets them all back, when Shifu said, hey, you need to get someone to be the next Dragon Warrior because you're going to be, a mentor and be in the place of Oogway, why didn't Poe just open the spirit realm, get Oogway out, and they all 3 have a conversation about it?
Or even
because I'm sure Shifu would listen to whatever Oogway had to say.
Or even better, do you remember, have you guys seen Avatar: Last Airbender, the show?
Absolutely not.
Is that a lie?
Sorry, I don't mean so crucial on it. No, I have not seen it. I've seen trailers for it. I actually have not seen anything about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
Cartoon, live action, or movie.
Okay.
Which I know, big thing to the audience. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of how my next best example then. Okay. Why not? Because you have access to the spirit realm, why not consult other masters? One of the things in this film that really dropped the ball on is it would be interesting for Poe to get advice from people on picking a student and getting the Dragon Warrior. One of the people he could get his advice from is Tai Lung. Hey, I need to find a student. What do you think went wrong with you? And they could have a back and forth over that. It's one of the...
Shifu was what's wrong with me.
Yeah. So there is something that could be done as well to make the spirit realm more integral to this film than just the pure battery that it is. But again, it's another thing that would go into the mentorship aspect they don't really do at all.
Yeah.
I have an animation complaint.
Oh boy.
Tai Lung looks fantastic when he first exits the portal. And then in the next shot with him, he looks like shit. You can see the fur. He looks great when he first exits the portal. But after that, you can see how, terrible he looks. There's a drop in his animation quality almost immediately after he's out of the portal. That first shot of him, anyway.
Yeah,
I'd say that with Shen and Kai as well. I think they all look like downgrades compared to their respective films.
Yeah, and it's weird because the first shot of Tai Lung coming out of the portal, right? He actually looks really, really great. It looks like they updated his model and animation, and they just didn't do that for the rest of the scene.
I don't know if I agree with you fully on that.
How best
I can see it being different between the scenes, but I don't see it as a complete downgrade in him. When he comes out of the portal, there's a wind effect on his fur, giving him far more detailed look. But
I think my recommendation, you might be right, Springs, but I think again for us to.
I'm just going. He doesn't look like Sully going from Monsters Inc. to University.
No,
No.
not quite that bad.
I guess my example from this, it looked like a different animation style. Like you had the realistic fur. When he first gets out of the portal, and then I thought the fur looked matted, like a Polar Express style almost. So for me, I thought it was a very clear, a very clear drop in quality for me. But that might just be what I saw. So.
Okay. Huh. I do like his fight scene, his choreography thing where he's like running along the wall of like lizards. That's cool. And also Chameleon turning into a lizard to dodge an attack. That was also pretty cool.
Yeah, and to trick Tai Lung, the only other use of deception.
Yeah. By the way, we brought it up earlier, and I was keeping my mouth shut about it. You guys said, well, how does she take the power from the Masters? It was with
Licks
the
their
staff.
forehead.
She needed the staff. Licks their forehead. Okay.
The
is
staff
correct.
was needed to open the portal.
That is correct. It is licking the forehead. Why didn't she lick Poe's forehead when he was captured?
Well, it's when she's holding the staff.
When she's with Tai Lung, she does not have the staff.
Cool. More problems. I love it.
Well, I mean, if you have the staff, do you get imbued with the chi? Because it's the chi staff, essentially.
It's a jaded staff. That's the only way to explain that part of it.
My guess
it has to be a jaded staff to go with the third film.
Yeah, my guess is yes, but the film doesn't give us any visual references to work with that, other than Poe's previous moves in the tavern.
The tavern fight?
Well, he doesn't. Well, yeah, he uses chi in the fight.
Oh yeah, at the end with the dragon part. Yeah.
And in the same way, he also uses the chi at the end of this fight too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also had that written down, Sprinks, but it was kind of I didn't know if a holder gets like a chi boost. Because you get rewarded the staff, right? If it's bestowed upon you, you can use it. So I don't know if you get just a boost by having access to it or not. Whether or not you're holding it, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
They don't clearly define the rules of this staff.
No. But I don't know if they necessarily break it either.
Oh, there's no rules to break, really.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with the sentiment because I had the same thing. Why wouldn't she just suck out Poe's chi earlier?
I'm also,
if she's now in possession of the staff, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be that guy. It's very convenient that the door just brings people you request by name. Because imagine if there was a kung fu master named Lee. How many people are gonna come to that door?
I mean, it brings up the issue I did last time, and we're like, oh, maybe they'll fix it in the fourth one or address it in some manner. Of Master X, right? Like Master, there's only one Rhino Master. There's only one Chicken Master. There's one of every animal, but there's got to be multiple.
Yep.
You have
across
the one addressed
across
of
all
the
of
animal.
history.
Yeah, and
I think if they're not the said master at the time of the animal, then they resort to their actual given names. That's probably how it works. So if there was like a Master Chicken,
man, I
and
really
a new
wish...
one became Master Chicken, the previous one will be Master whatever the chicken's original name is. Like Master Shifu is not Master Red Panda.
So one of the interesting things about Kung Fu Panda, they don't really touch on this, but one of the interesting things is that the Furious Five are all based off of specific styles of Kung Fu, like Tiger style, Viper style, and things like that. And so they are working with that as a concept at its base. So I like the idea with what you're going there, Springs, but they would absolutely need to expand on it. So like there'd be an animal per style, pretty much.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it needs to be broadened on. But I'm just saying, when asked, like, summoning Master Rhino, why there's only one Rhino coming present?
Mm-hmm.
Now, why she never said Master Oogway? Couldn't tell you. It could be because she doesn't know who Master Oogway is. She doesn't know what the Dragon Warrior is.
Well, no,
I mean,
she
the
would
chameleon
know.
knows
The
about.
chameleon knows about
Oh,
Dragon
sorry.
Warriors. That's
Sorry,
what
sorry, sorry, sorry.
requires the plan. The city doesn't, though,
For some reason.
for some reason.
2-day
And they're
walk.
only 2 days away, man.
Is it good that Shifu didn't come to help this fight like he does in the second one, where he comes to the town to help? Even though we know now that this one's only 2 days away. But Shifu can teleport.
I think I'd like it less if he just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah. The two get some leeway, but not much in terms of his ability to just be there.
Okay. I think I'm in agreement. I'm glad he didn't show up because I feared they could do a thing with Tylon and Shifu of a forgiveness scene.
Yeah,
and I don't think
no.
I would like that.
Please no. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I love their dynamic too much in the first one because they already had that scene. Shifu essentially forgave him.
Yeah.
It's Tai Lung who chose his destiny, pretty much.
And I guess bowing to Poe is that they have in this film. So,
yeah.
Which is okay. Not a huge fan, but I accept it.
You know what I don't like? I don't like that Zhen is able to stand up to Poe in a kung fu fight.
Yeah, no, neither do I. Absolutely not.
Was
He's
it
the Dragon Warrior.
Yeah, was it well choreographed? Sure. Doesn't
How
make
is
any
she
sense for her
kicking
to
his
stand
butt?
up. I'm happy it's not like one-sided. Like Poe still gets hits in, but I don't like that it's 50-50.
Absolutely.
Like
Fully agree with you on
the
that.
best that they should do is make it. I would have it so Poe is holding back. That's what you would do in that scene. Like, yeah, he doesn't like her because he betrayed him, but he's not willing to like beat her into the ground. You know?
Yeah.
She's an Dragon Warrior. She's skilled. It's fine. She's a Mary Sue.
Yeah, there you go. More for the Mary Sue argument. It's weird that the dads are there in that scene, and then they're just gone for their fight until the end of it.
Yeah, the dads, which I guess we didn't really say, just kind of a teleport to save Poe from the last act.
Oh yeah, it jumped over their teleportation ability too. I guess.
How did they know he was there? How did they get past all the security that Poe had to get by? Because that was at the palace wall, off a cliff.
The
horrendous
monkeys who don't talk help.
That's so bad. And
I didn't like
could
Larry.
fly, but here he was struggling to fly.
I didn't like when they took out the lizards, and they're hanging off the wall. Those lizards aren't shouting to the other guards that there's a break-in. They have visual sight of other guards.
I mean, that's for comedy's sake again. They've damaged it for comedy.
Yeah, and in the time it took Poe to walk up maybe 2 flights of stairs, Zhen and the dads were able to teleport into the Undercity.
Yeah.
To give the rousing speech and teleport back to break in order to even get to the fight on time.
My goodness.
Yeah. They've been here before. They know where they're going. They know Juniper City.
Yeah.
It's the city Poe never heard of.
Being what you said about the staff, and the staff being an element of chi, and how General Kai did it in the third movie, if Chameleon didn't have the staff, could the Wuxi finger hold work on Chameleon?
Possibly.
Yeah.
That's all I can say and just shrug.
Okay.
I got no idea.
Because I'm thinking that
it would
could
work on
have been
Chameleon. Because it didn't work on Kai because he was of the spirit realm.
Yeah.
That was his reason. Chameleon is not of the spirit realm.
That's right. Can't be sent because there already is a spirit. Got it. So you just done Wuxi finger and just sent her and she's gone.
On her. Yeah. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
They learned that in the first movie. But no Wuxi finger hold, no fire fist, no chi fighting.
I was never on board with your fire fist thing. But Wuxi finger, yeah, that wasn't even brought up in this at all as a talking point. That was his big strategy against Kai, was the Wuxi finger hold.
Yeah.
Not his big strategy in this one, though. What was his strategy in this one?
Hide in a cage and let Shen do it.
His strategy for this one, according
We know
to
he got get out of the cage on his own.
according to this film, his strategy was to go in, fight, and then his inner Shifus talked to him and talked him down, and then he's like has to try it their way first, and then it was kick butt.
Yeah. You like the part when Shen's beating Chameleon and says, "Tell me how proud you are of me."
That would
Man, this climax, man.
and
I didn't like how Chameleon, when she was in like Omega form, just turned into a monster.
immediately just gave up
Yeah.
too after one bout.
How is that going to make you stronger?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Doesn't that make Chameleon slow? Like, you look scarier, but isn't that slower? And how are you going to do moves with a body like that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even going with that angle. She makes like growling and monster noises. She doesn't talk anymore. She just turns into a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say I was extremely worried when she turned into a big monster because I was great in the CJ boss fight. I'm happy that was short. I much prefer the fighting beforehand where Poe's 1v1ing through a bunch of different masters, and then again after the fact when he's fighting himself. I much prefer that in my kung fu film, I guess.
I agree.
So that is.
I think it would have been if it was psychological warfare, though. That'd be cool. Like if there was a smoke thing, or like the floor gave way and they're in that fog underneath. And Chameleon's like doing voices of all the people Poe knows to like really mess with his mind.
And then I would be nice to see Poe work through that because he's moved past them as well. So like she's trying it as a tactic and seeing it's not working. That would strengthen Poe's character a bit, which isn't desperate need of strengthening.
You are all the Jedi. Huh?
Or even something like if Chameleon did two voices, but one of the two voices is Poe, and is like trying to rewrite memories and thoughts. He's like, I never said that. And it's like, but you could have.
She would need actual memories of that. She would only be able to work with scenes that she's directly involved in with Poe in order for that to work.
Well, she could go with what Shen is told, and Shen could have witnessed Shifu and Poe and just known that.
That would be more.
And with the scene we said earlier with the disrespect that Poe has, Shen could have worked with that, told Chameleon, and Chameleon could have like done some kind of voice thing with Poe to Shifu, where then Poe could have done a joke of the two Shifus on his shoulder, being like, you know, why would you say something like that? And Poe's like, I never said something like that. So it's jokey, but also psychologically fighting.
I could see that more of as a joke. I could see that. That part of the pitch works, I think, better for me than the actual psychological warfare bit. Then again, I'm operating under the assumption that my Dragon Warrior has grown over the course of the previous films, and I'm not regressing him. So,
well, up to this point, there's a lot that isn't.
Yeah.
So, I do really like though a camera movement shot, or just like the camera work of like an hour 1740 when Chameleon's fighting Poe, and I forget. I think it's Poe. Poe like leans back to dodge, and the camera like is fixated on his head. And moves, and like the camera is like kind of stuck to Poe's animation and moving around him. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, when he's riding the back of the monster?
No, before that, when Chameleon's like all the different masters.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, I got the scene in my head. Yeah.
Let's see. So, back to the cages. So. They all get their chi back, and then the doors just open and they walk out.
Hey, Poe opened the door because he knows how to do that, I guess.
But he didn't. I just found it freaking dumb because they wanted the scene of all the masters walking and surrounding instead of someone unlocking every single cage for them to get out.
Oh, you mean never mind.
The door's magically
Sorry,
open?
I took the spiritual door, not the actual opening of the cage doors.
No, the cages.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the cage doors all open once they get their chi.
Oh.
So they can just walk out of it.
Yep, I agree.
And they should still have their chi. They're just trapped inside the cage still.
Rare,
and it bugged me. Sorry.
I may have done an oops where I said the camera thing was before the monster, it's after the monster.
Okay.
Sorry.
What was I saying? Cage something rather.
They wanted a shot of
Cage
all the
Force all
masters coming out.
The fire croc guy, Fred or Phil or whatever it was. I don't know.
Steve.
Steve.
Master Steve.
Why didn't he melt the cage? Because we see when Chameleon uses the fire breath, it melts the cages.
That's a good question. Like I said, I don't understand what she stole. Like she stole all of their ability, I guess, and they just have nothing when.
Well,
No
when he talks to
motivation to
Poe,
fight back.
he builds up like smoke, like he's about to blow fire to remind him I'm the fire guy. So he probably still has his fire breath.
Oh, so he's just an idiot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes to none of them trying to get out.
Which is character breaking for quite a few of them. Yeah, at least our villains that we've had, like our main villains from previous films.
Yeah, good thing she didn't call him like a master mantis or master snake that can fit through the bars of the cages.
Yeah,
Good thing
it'd
that
be a really real shame.
Yeah. I kind of like that the way to get rid. I mean, in a sense, the way to get rid of Chameleon is to put her in the ultimate prison, which is the spirit realm, the land of the dead.
that keeps opening.
That somehow keeps opening.
Yeah. She could probably talk to General Kai in there and be like, "Oh, I know a way out of here."
You just need to collect enough master souls.
Remember, General Kai has inner peace now, apparently. So maybe General Kai will talk her out of going back to get revenge.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe she'll, meet Oogway.
Who knows? Who's Oogway?
The film doesn't know.
Yeah. Apparently.
Funny bit, I like that Lee and Ping just sit on the lawn chairs once all the thieves get involved. Does it make sense? No, but it was funny.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not a fan of it. Another sacrifice for comedy moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Objectively, problem. Subjectively, yeah, that was a bit funny. I like that because they're not fighters, so they did their part, and now they're just gonna watch.
More Shifu bashing, if anyone's interested in some Shifu bashing.
I love Shifu
more
bashing.
nicks to
I love Shifu
Death
bashing.
1,000 cuts.
Yeah, I love Shifu bashing after Kung Fu Panda 2, so go right ahead.
At the end, when Poe's like, I'm taking Shen as my apprentice, and Shifu's like, all right, you can make it whoever you want, a thief, a stick, a carrot, I don't care anymore, and walks off. I was just so flustered because one of his things from the first movie was not to judge a book by its cover with Poe. This flabby fat thing cannot be a master.
Yeah, there was a character.
Why can't a thief be something? Yeah. That's his character, is not judging a book by its character.
That was the character arc that he got on.
And it's out the window.
Yeah, they do that a lot with all the characters in this franchise now, and I don't like it.
What do you think on that, Springs?
I don't like it either.
They completely butchered him there.
Yeah.
His whole lesson. Gone.
Not a fan.
Shifu. I mean, we were all saying like Shifu and Tai Lung were like our favorites, I think, in the first one, right? I think that's what our consensus was.
Tai Lung was mine.
Yeah.
I think their dynamic was my favorite. I think my favorite character was probably Poe in the first one, but I think those two had the best back and forth in the film. Absolutely, by far and away.
It's so sad seeing Shifu just getting slashed every time he shows up. 2 wasn't too bad, but there was a little bit of damage. 3, Butcher, this, there's nothing left of him to me. I think Shifu's dead.
I think
it's weird
most
just
characters
how much
are assassinated at this point.
It's
except
weird
for the
how much they cut out.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like this one, they're like making Poe dumb, so cutting out what he's learned. They cut out the Fierce Five. They cut out Oogway. They pretty much cut out all of Shifu. Just to like strengthen Shen as like gonna be this new character.
I guess when you phrase it that way, yeah.
It is the sacrifice upon the pillars in order to make this thing happen. See, it's mentorship arcs aren't difficult even for like people who are new to mentors, being new to as a mentor, which is why I'm so flabbergasted the need to regress characters to just make this new character important. It feels like that's what happened because she's the new character.
Yeah, you know, a good mentorship that worked in the movie of a character going on a huge adventure and a new character being added in. X-23 and Logan. That worked.
Yeah, I agree. That worked, and then they ruined it with Deadpool Wolverine. But we'll no. But yes, I love it. I love the Logan dynamic. Absolutely, it's a great
Now
example.
Logan's a completely different character than Poe, but still a mentorship thing with a world already established of a character.
Yeah, I would even say Obi-Wan does a half decent job of it in the prequels to Anakin, because you get the sense that he doesn't know how to be a master. He was rushed into the position.
Oh. Not Obi-Wan and with Princess Leia. No, like a little girl character with a master.
I had to think about that for a second, which shows you how much I think of that franchise that we covered, that part of the franchise we covered on this podcast. I didn't get it at first. I deleted that.
It took me 1 second, and then I'm like, "Yep, that's it.
Yep,
that's gold."
So yeah, and all this to say is like it definitely comes across that way because Shen is the new character. So watching all the damage being done to legacy characters in order to make it feels like it's a trade-off to make Shen relevant, which again lends into the Mary Sue feeling that we get from her.
Yeah, I just would have liked Chameleon to have a one-up on Shen at a point, and like, you know, I'm your master, I did this, and then Shen using something she learned, like either the Peach Pit as a distraction or something Poe taught her or something, rather than just her taking down.
That would require.
I mean, 50-50 toe with Poe previously, and now beating her master in one go.
Mary
They could have done a reverse Tai Lung and Shifu with those two. Or instead of the student betraying the master, the master betrays the student or something.
Chameleon beating up Shen and being like, "Tell me how proud you
are."
They could have done something like that.
Yeah, like, you know, tell me how proud you are being betrayer. You know, being like, you know, being like, you know, betraying Poe. How do you feel?
Treat
you know?
how I raised you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like she could view it as ungrateful. Would absolutely be a better dynamic to have.
And also, being how Chameleon's such a power dynamic person, like all this power gain, Chameleon could turn into Shen and be like, "I will show you how strong I am by being the weakling you are," and still trying to like beat Shen as Shen.
Yeah, there's so underutilized.
Chameleon's a waste.
Yeah, so underutilized. And to get more on this, to give that more of the dynamic, I think Poe and Shen's dynamic should have a lot more to it. Like, it'd be interesting because we see Poe teaching her once. What if she's learning other lessons along the road with Poe and realizing that Poe is just there's no price for Poe's knowledge, and learns that the difference what a nice master, a good master is like comparatively to her own. There's so much that can be done to make Shen a good character without regressing anybody.
Yeah. Wah-wah.
Okay.
All right, I'll jump to another problem I had in the previous film of how Poe just immediately learns Chi. We didn't get training of Chi. He wanted to train, but he never got to it and mastered it. Here, he just masters wisdom. Wisdom just pops out of nowhere. He can now spout wisdom. Obviously, they start throwing jokes at the end.
Oh, the
Proverbs. Bunch of random stuff. Yeah. But he just unlocks wisdom. It just happens.
He just unlocks Proverbs. I'm not going to equate that to wisdom.
No, Crimson, how he gained that is he had to get rid of understanding inner peace.
Oh, he had to trade it out.
Yeah.
It's like resetting your skill
His
slots.
inventory slot was full.
Yeah.
He can only know so much.
Yeah. He put all his points into the dexterity, but he wanted to re-level, so he visited a...
Yeah. Again, he can only learn so much. See how stupid he is in this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's as stupid as 3, but he is stupid in here.
I just don't get it.
Yeah,
he's the dragon warrior,
and he's now been doing this for years. There's adventures that he's been on that we haven't seen in the case of Steve.
Like the
man whole TV show. I don't know if the TV show's canon.
The TV show, the winter thing, the there's another special thing.
The Fast 5 movie. I don't know. I haven't seen the Fast
I
Five
don't know.
movie, but
There's other things.
Fast Five, Furious Five,
Yeah.
the Fast and Furious movie.
Anywho, funny enough, being how much we've bled over things, I don't really have anything else for my notes.
I'll talk about how the portal looks different when Poe is opening it, opposed to the Chameleon.
Chameleon, yeah.
It's the same portal, but just one looks different than the other. I don't really know why.
Well, that could be a Poe. Well, no, because the staff move Shen does has the dragon. I was gonna say Poe has like entered the dragon warrior, so like dragons make up the portal, and chameleons is like ghostly, scaly, gray faces. So it's like onto the person who opened the portal is the design, maybe.
And that's, I guess, best faith. But yeah, or a visual aesthetic. One's a nice portal, one's a bad portal, but they're the same portal.
Yeah. I guess one small point of praise, because it does anger me sometimes. Poe put most of the work in to beat the Chameleon, so I'm happy they didn't completely rob him of the victory.
I didn't like that she essentially just got one shot.
Yeah,
She got done in so easily. You can say, well, she's a glass cannon. Then
I'm not
once
going
you
to
hit
make that
her,
argument.
she shatters. But
I mean, like, you can make the argument that she's been worn down over the course of the fight, because Poe did get a lot of good hits in before then.
he did, but then she does the move where she like whips out her ton as Poe, and her ton just gets him, like even if he moves, and then paddle balls him in the air weightlessly. She's kind of beating the crud out of him.
Yeah, like I said, it's not a perfect fight. I just appreciate the fact that it wasn't a CGI boss fight. There was kung fu involved.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll talk about my least favorite joke, and is it my least favorite part? Probably not my least favorite part, but least favorite joke is when the ceiling's opening up for the blood moon, and she's like, "Well, bit early for that. I guess I'll just open it." But it went on for like a minute and a half. I didn't count it, but it just felt so long. That bit went on forever. I didn't like that at all.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't like that it worked without it. Like it didn't have to be exact to work.
I mean, I don't know if the blood moon was required for it at all. Anyways, if it was just like,
I would assume so, but I have no idea.
If the blood moon is required to open the spirit portal, then that could help answer my question earlier. Why didn't Poe just open it to get Oogway to answer Shifu's question?
Well, we establish in the third one that you can just do a prayer circle and summon people back. So
that's also true.
You don't need the staff for that.
But the Furious 5 weren't around for that.
You don't need Furious 5. Ping and the villagers are part of the circle. It was a writer, and I had a lot of issues with them just being able to bring back the dead whenever they want now.
Yeah.
So, don't even need a magic staff for it. Actually, yeah, that's true. She didn't even need to get the staff in this movie.
She had her guards. Just have them help. Teach them chi.
I was gonna say she just needs to learn chi.
The staff is what she knew, so she got the staff. But that's knowing Oogway, because it was Oogway's staff. But she doesn't get Oogway.
That's knowing that when it was Dragon Warriors.
Yeah, when she is being involved with what she needed to learn, that would have been General Kale. Or Kai. Yeah, General Kale. Kai. Sorry, General Kale. That's Willow. General Kai. But there's nothing of her acknowledging that either. Where there's plenty of actually, no, there's not plenty of documentation. Because that's how the third movie was. I'm like, how the heck did they find the one scroll about the story? Because he was kind of rid of history. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But she knew his name enough to pull him through when his fight was in the Panda Village. So I guess word spread from there.
I mean, he did walk around the valley. He took out
Oh, he
all
did.
the masters in the land.
Yeah, he took out the farmers. That was right.
Oh, he took out all the masters. Remember
Yeah.
all the arrows and
Yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah.
our masters have been taken. All
You're
that
right.
stuff. So he made a name for himself, which is what he wanted. Yes.
One of the only through lines that I think is intact for the film is Poe giving Zhen the staff to fight her master. Not this time with the intent, knowing that she isn't going to betray him and stuff like that. It's only one of the few things I think is intact from beginning to end. And with
Couldn't find
that,
anything intact here.
yeah, and with that, I think I'm pretty much out of notes. I guess I like that Tai Lung has a respect for Poe. I would have preferred a little bit more as far as their dynamic is concerned, but at this point, I'm more afraid the more they play with characters, the worse that the character potentially is going to get.
I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it's okay.
It's surface level.
It is very surface level.
Yeah. All right. Everyone done with their notes then? Gone through the whole film?
My last one is Chameleon fighting Shen in chameleon form. I don't know if it's me reading into it, but I saw that as like she's taking it personal and wants to fight as herself for that.
Oh.
Because why wouldn't she shapeshift? But she's herself fighting Shen, so it's more personal.
I guess
she probably does feel a bit of a betrayal. Her pupil.
It'd be nice if the script portrayed that a little bit more.
But it's also a slight weakness then if she's using the skills that she trained Shen with and not being masters that she wouldn't recognize.
Well, we don't know if she's using master abilities. Like all of them could learn a special kick, but it's all the attributes were like physical attributes, like the rhino's horn because she used a charge, or she's got wings because of Shen. That's unique to the species of the animal, but they could all learn broad kung fu that isn't specific to something they're capable of.
Yeah.
I think that's my last bit.
Yeah, my last bit, I guess, is again Shifu getting all the pose. It's a funny bit. That's pretty much the only note I have for it because I don't.
Oh, in his head, yeah.
Yeah, I like that they both have each other in their head because they would be friends for that long, so that you just know your friend. You know, that's why that's the only surface reason I like it. And with that, sir, I am out of notes.
Shifu inner piece. Sorry, one more thing. I hated it. The pose going on, and he couldn't achieve inner peace.
Oh.
It's the end of the movie. It's like the last bit with Shifu, and I don't know why they turned it into a comedy bit. It could have just been a serene inner peace and pan to the saplings, but we had to tuck that in there. Wasn't a fan of it.
No, I agree. Okie doke. Well, with that coverage of Kung Fu Panda 4, we'll now go into summaries and ratings. Who to choose first? Let's go with me.
Oogway.
I'll go first.
Oh,
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who's who?
I'll change it up. Yeah, who? Boy, what to start with? Let's start with my subjective, because this should be pretty easy. Good chunk of this movie, I kind of had it like a 5-ish watching it. I was just like, okay, it's fine. It's, it's passing the time. It's okay. And then things clicked, and I'm like, that's disrespectful. Don't like that. That joke didn't really land. That's okay. Ooh, didn't like that. Man, this stinks. And then Pino opened his mouth about discrediting himself with the first movie, which was high praise of the first movie for me. And it's completely gone with him. And I'm just like, oh, that stinks. I have this movie at a 3 currently. I think if I sat down and watched all 4 back to back to back in unison, because it's been a while since we covered the first movie, and that was the last time I watched it. If I watched them all like in one sitting, I think this 4th one could be lower. There's a possibility, but right now I have it at a 3. Not a fan. I'm not a fan that this is a movie just to set up Shen and really spits on the past 3 movies of Poe. My objective. I like the animation. I think the animation's really good. I like the lighting. The lighting really plays off, and also different color usage of the lighting. A lot of reds and darker tones, and then bright city streets and deep blues for the water and ocean. I think it's very colorful and nice. It's not very artistic how they did in like the previous ones, like the montage or Shen's backstory. Um, Shen, the Lord Shen's backstory from the second one, or some things in the first one, like Poe's dream of being a part of the Fierce Five. But this one didn't have pretty much any of that. It had Shen's backstory of like how she grew up, and I did really like that coloring of lighting of time thing. But other than that, not really a lot of creative stuff. If you get my thing of difference of animations and lightings and whatnot. But overall, I think it was pretty good in this film of those. The voice acting, very good. I think it's pretty spot on. No one really sounded very different from previous. I guess maybe Shifu a little. And then I guess, just the characters who didn't talk, like Lord Shen didn't have a speaking role. General Kai didn't have anything. And I already touched on that. But this might be the most, how do I word this? The most fine film with Awkwafina in it where her voice doesn't annoy me. Like, I think this is my favorite thing Awkwafina's in that I've seen. I think. So that's all good. Cinematography, there were some good shots, good lineup shots. Again, it's hard with animation. I touched on that before when we cover it. It's something animated. But there's some usages of stylized shots that work pretty well, and there's nothing that I think was a really bad shot or a questionable shot to use. A lot of decents and goods. The biggest gripe with this movie is its writing, its world building, its characters, of what it does to previous things, which makes me real curious what writer's objective is going to be. But that's my biggest hit to this, is just that's bad. Another thing I guess I just remembered, pacing's okay. Definitely could be a lot smoother with more understanding of what is to what in the world building. But editing is decent. Good transitions in a couple spots. So right now I'm settled on my objective being a 7. And with that, let's go.
Who's
Well,
next?
I'm curious, so let's go to writer.
All right. I'll start with my subjective, as I tend to do. I had a hint at what my feelings were towards this movie even before I sat down to watch it. I was familiar with enough with it, and I had seen the writing on the wall for after Kung Fu Panda 3. I'm like, all right, this franchise isn't for me anymore. There's there's usually drop off points where quality starts to drop for me in a lot of franchises these days. This one was particularly bad for me because I actually love Kung Fu Panda 1 a lot when I was younger, and I still do. So, subjective. I did not have fun. Funny enough, I also have a note in my my notes for this saying that I hate Aquafina as a voice actor. I don't really enjoy any roles that she's in, but she was not grating in this one, so I'm kind of on the same page as Springs there. I probably the least offensive role I have with her in it. That being said, yeah, I didn't really enjoy the movie. I I have no plans to see this again. There are some funny bits here and there, so it's not completely unsalvageable in terms of enjoyment. But it's still mostly bad all around. Like, it's not worth going through the rest of the movies to get to those points again. I would much rather just, if I'm desperate, and even then it's a stretch, I would just look up funny bits on YouTube. And I'm not that desperate. There was nothing in here that was good enough for me to even want to do that. I'm at a 2.5 subjectively. Objectively, you'll be happy to know that my rating has since gone down 1.5 since we started the podcast.
A point
Oh,
and a half.
lovely. I am happy to hear it.
Yes. I think every character is shit. Which is horrible to say, but that's half the scale being wiped clean. I don't think there's a single character that escapes from this unscathed. As much as I enjoy Lee and Ping's dynamic, even they get damaged by some of the choices that they made. Just sitting out and being on a lawn chair and watching the fight. As much as I enjoy the joke, that's a fucking problem. So Poe regressed even more compared to what they had. The character progression for him is shoehorned. The lesson he's learned is a lesson he would have already learned, and the lesson is very forced, and that'll tie a bit into the plot. Shifu has been regressing ever since Kung Fu Panda 2. Pretty much, he's worse here than he was earlier on, which is a shame. And I think the dynamic between Poe and Shifu is also damaged somewhat by the few scenes that they had together. And it's kind of impressively efficient how much they have degraded the character at this point. At this point, I'm happy the 5 aren't here because it means there's nothing to ruin about them. Not that most of the 5 have lots to ruin about them. I'm just happy they aren't here as collateral damage. I think the Chameleon is a wasted villain in terms of the character. The motivation is nonsensical. The deception aspect of her character is never played with. And when it is played with, it's played with in the most basic way possible. Her motivation for being a villain doesn't make much sense. And yeah. And we talked about Shen. Shen is the most okay character here by virtue of the fact of her just being a Mary Sue and things work out for her. I think they did a good job of making her somewhat likable. That being said, everything about her interactions with Poe is underutilized. Again, tons of wasted opportunities to use with the character. I think they force a lot of things, like her needing to 1v1 the Master. Her relationship with Poe seems very forced because we don't really see any growth in their dynamic. And again, it just lends to the Mary Sue feeling about the character. It's not good. And that's not to say what we think of all the side characters. I think the only character that is okay is Tai Lung. And that's in quotation marks because he's just, again, not used much, which I think is to his benefit. He's not particularly ruined. And yeah. All right. So plot was, the pacing was not, for me, it wasn't great. Going from one place to the next, there's no scene of transition to allow for travel. Poe is just, finding footprints that would have disappeared on a snowy mountaintop a long time ago. It's conveniences like that move the plot along. It's convenient that the guards haven't heard of him before when it's only a 2-day trip away. That's gets more world building, but it's convenient that the way that it just ends up. The villain's plan is very convenient. It's reliant upon a lot of uncertainties, and everything needs to go a very, very specific way in order to facilitate what's going to happen. It's not a great plot, and I think the world building is a disaster. I don't really need to say more on that because it's one of the things we've been hammering away on the entirety of our coverage. I was at a 3.5 below Kung Fu Panda 3, objectively. It has since dropped because the world building has gotten infinitely worse since we've talked, and I think the characters are worse off than I thought after my initial previously. So I'm at a 2, objectively. There's not much in the
Wow.
way going for this film in terms of writing, and it's a really for me a matter of how far we have fallen from Kung Fu Panda 1, which we all unanimously agree was pretty decent as far as the film is concerned.
Yeah, I think that was like a 9 or something.
It's one of our highest rated movies
Yeah.
on average.
I think funny enough, Sprinks, you have the lowest objective rating on that one. I think.
I think so, and I give that pretty high, like 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ryder and I gave it a 9 or 9.5,
Yeah.
like that.
It's one of our higher.
See, I
ratings.
thought people would hate me for my take on Kung Fu Panda 2.
That's a lot of.
It was a
people
hot
would-
take.
It's a controversial take for that one for sure. But you know,
It's fine.
all
Can have it.
right, that's it for me, gentlemen.
Well, then it goes to Crimson.
All right, so I will start with probably the more surprising one, being subjective. Even though I bashed the heck out of this, I had a lot of questions in my notes. I didn't have a hard time watching it, actually. It was not as hard to watch as the third one. I think I gave the third one like 3.5 for my subjective. And it wasn't as grueling. And I actually somewhat got an entertainment level out of it. So I have this out of 5 subjectively. Even though Shifu has been bashed, Poe has been damaged to me. He did. He's whatever. He was more annoying in the third one to me than in this, even though he is indeed stupid here. I'm echoing the sentiment you guys had with Shen. Best Aquafina performance I've seen thus far. I didn't find her character annoying. I didn't even realize she was a Mary Sue until it was brought up as a topic. I think she fits the criteria provided. But I didn't get annoyed by her character, so that was nice. My biggest hit for my subjective is Chameleon and the wasted potential of that character, and the spirit realm being just a battery again. So 5, I'm not 100% opposed to watching it again. But the problem is I tend to watch franchises in a marathon, and I don't want to watch 3 again. So I probably won't end up seeing this again. So I'd have to go through the number 3.
Fascinating.
I know, surprising one. Objectively, going to echo a lot of the sentiments provided. One I disagreed with Sprinks on actually was the animation. I think it was a downgrade visually from 3. I think 1 was worse than 2, 2 was worse than 3. I think each one got better, and this one was a drop off. I think this one might even look worse than the second one. So I think it would go 3, 2, 4, 1 for graphics, visual fidelity, that stuff. They've just felt more plasticky. They didn't feel like the Soli example with the individual hairs. They felt more plasticky. In most scenes, there were some like close-ups to where you can see every detail, but they just felt more blocky, rounded. That's mostly my animation thing. I didn't have too many issues elsewhere with animation, other than it was less creative compared to the others, as Sprinks brought up with his point, so I'm not going to echo it. With world building writing, absolutely eviscerated. The villain motivation lacking, too small, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all within this world. Doesn't utilize the shapeshifting for deception, except for a couple times, which is, as Ryder pointed, like the easiest points to use them. I don't know. I just feel like I'm going to echo a lot of stuff, but I think the father's sideline. I feel like they should have been written out. Not like the Furious Five. The Furious Five got written out because they didn't really have a place in this story. At least that's what we're going with. And I feel the same. The fathers, I feel like they should have been written out because they didn't really contribute anything. We didn't need them to rally up the army for the siege.
Their time could have been better utilized, making Shen and Poe's character dynamic better. I would have preferred that.
Sure. I mean, as of now, their purpose is for that speech with Poe, which Ryder pointed out was pretty much a lesson Poe already knew. So, as is, they're kind of just here for comedy beats and are sprinkled throughout the film and to pad the runtime. That's kind of how I view it as. And in terms of pacing, there was I don't remember what the other fight was, but I had two parts in my notes that I'm like, all right, this is a obligated fight scene, just to sprinkle them out. One was the Bunny Tavern, which is called the Bunny Tavern, and then Poe called one a rabbit, which was just I didn't bring that up. I thought that was a little dumb, but so there's just not many positives. The visuals, I think the voice acting is fine, as Sprinks pointed out. Blah blah blah. I'm rambling a lot, so I am giving this one an objective 4. I was between 3.5 and a 4, and I feel like 3.5 might be too harsh. You know what? No, I'm sticking 3. I'm doing 3.5. I might change it recap if I compare some numbers, but right now I'll have it at 3.5.
Okay, you sticking with it?
Yeah. Stay tuned for recap if I change my mind.
So a 7, a 3.5, and a 2.
It's going to be a wild average.
It's probably going to come to a 5 or something.
Probably. With that, gentlemen, any last questions before I read us out?
Not a question, but I have one last thing to say. Audience, this is kind of us softly putting our foot down and ending our run of Kung Fu Panda at the moment. Now, we don't have anything slated to watch the winter special or the show or the other specials or the so-called Fierce 5 movie or any of that. Not saying we can't, but at the moment, Kung Fu Panda 4 is where we're calling it right now, just to keep you in the know.
Comment if you want the others. We might fit it in.
That's true. Hey, something of those specials could really change our outlook of this fourth film. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be the magic trick right there.
That'd be a Christmas miracle.
Would be.
What are you talking about? Christmas was like a week ago.
More like a month ago.
Oh, yeah. A couple weeks ago. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, as you said.
Ever since decades, I can't keep track of our time.
All right. Thank you, audience, for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, GoodPods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, and Samsung. And if you happen to be on our visual side of things, be it YouTube or Rumble, thank you for watching our PNG Tubers and Slideshow. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. As always, I have been a Geeky Writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Springs.
And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.